Welcome to the Holy Smokes Podcast, a show about faith, friendship, fine tobacco, and drink. I'm Steve Ryder, and I am with Sabastian Huynh in his garage lounge that is almost done being built. We'll talk about it once it's done. Feature it on the podcast. Sebastian, what's the name of this lounge?
The Leadership Lab, but we just call it The Lab.
The Lab.
There you go.
Here in Falcon, Colorado, where I live. I didn't have to drive very far. Usually I go to the Lion's Den, which is a half-hour one-way drive, hour round trip, and so it was just like 5 minutes, boom, I'm here.
Yep.
Now, when I first met you, you had moved to Colorado Springs, actually Falcon, but moved to the area a few months prior?
About a month.
Okay.
We came out here to get my daughter started off in school.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you lived 1 block from my house. You and Brian, your friend, were renting a house just 1 block away. And so you had actually ordered some stuff at the Holy Smoke store, some Holy Smoke swag, a hat that you're wearing right now. Yep. I walked it over.
Yeah. It was the weirdest thing. I get a text saying, hey, where do you live? And I didn't know your number. I'm like, who the hell wants to know where I live? You know, that was weird. You know, then you said you're going to drop off the swag. I was like, what kind of customer service is this?
So, how did you get into Holy Smokes?
That's very interesting. We got a friend here who just joined us, Russ, and he's also from Dallas. But a month before I moved out here for you, which is right before August, a week before I moved out here, I had a friend who contacted me from California who I knew 10 years prior, do a consultant gig. He was going out. I was coming in. We just made friends. And he said, what are you doing in Dallas? He goes, hey, let's catch up. So me and him caught up after not seeing each other 10 years. At the end of our dinner or lunch, he said, hey, tonight I'm going to meet some guys. It's called Holy Smokes. If you want to come and have some cigars with us. Really? You know, because here's what he said. He goes, yeah, these are Christian guys, and we go have cigars together. And I was like, ah, shit. Probably guys hiding smoking and thinking it's taboo and it's going to be, you know, awkward and all this. I was like, but you know what? Let's just go and, you know, let's connect and all that. Because we were having a good conversation. And so I showed up and met these amazing people. And I was like, well, that's mud in my face. I was full of shit. Just judging people before I even met them. Just because I had bad Christian experience and all that stuff. You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
Yeah, totally. Well, I mean, when our group rule number 1 is no assholes. That kind of helps to weed out a lot of those
judgmental people.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ultra religious, uppity.
Yes.
Kind of guys.
Yes. That's what I was afraid of. And I didn't meet that at all. I just met a whole bunch of amazing, sincere guys. And they just had this thing called Promise Keeper end. So a couple of those guys who were doing it came out. And I was like, that thing's still around? And they're like, yeah, they're resurrecting it. It was really just an amazing conversation. And they said, hey, you want to join our conclave next month? Or something like that. I go, what are you talking about? They said in Colorado Springs, we have this thing called conclave. I go, say that again? Because they didn't know in a week I'm moving to Colorado Springs.
Yeah.
And it was just, for me, it was divine. I mean,
you met so many people.
Oh, my stars.
I mean, we had probably, I'd say 200 people at least that came into town or were local.
And I thought you guys are crazy. Who would fly here and just have cigars? What's wrong with you guys? I was like, what? Who would just fly out to have cigars?
Last year, we had a couple of guys come in internationally.
What the Christmas?
I don't think there was anyone that came in internationally this year, but last year, during COVID.
Wow.
During COVID.
Wow.
And I don't know if they were just desperate to get out or they already had another trip planned to the U.S.
I'll tell you why I would see people flying here, because once I had finally experienced it myself, which I ran into an old friend here from California, which was crazy.
Really?
Yeah, it was crazy. But anyways, I think the reason is because you can't find caliber people like this who, like you said, rule number 1, no assholes. 2, no selling. I don't know what the other rules are. Those 2 are just the best. But
what happens at Holy Smoke stays at Holy Smoke.
Oh, is that what it is, number 3?
Yep.
I never knew it.
Number 3 is what happens at Holy Smoke stays at Holy Smoke. So no pictures posted outside of the group unless there's express permission from everyone in that picture.
I love that.
Because we have so many people that are in denominations that are anti-tobacco and anti-drinking, and so we want to protect them.
I love that.
And then number 4 is real easy. Just leave room for the Holy Spirit to work.
There's 4 rules.
4 rules.
Mother, daughter, I never got past first 2. I think I'm still on probation. So that's 1, 2, 3 is what happens here stays here. I love that. And number 4 is leave room, Holy Spirit. Beautiful. Beautiful.
Yeah, those are the 4 rules.
I love it. So I think now that I've experienced a conclave, I think people come because the caliber of people who come, share the life stories. I made a really good friend here, Burke, and I have become very close.
Burke's a great guy.
Yeah. Well, that's just subjective, but anyways, well, I met him there at Conclave and just a lot of other great people. And the point is the caliber of people who come to Holy Smokes is very unique. And I can see why people travel across the world for it. You know, definitely.
Yeah. So you weren't born in the U.S.
I was born in Vietnam, Saigon. Well, Dalat, which is a little bit north, is considered the wine country, cold area of Vietnam. Yeah.
And you were born during the war?
Vietnam War? Yep, I was born in 70. Yep.
And your dad?
My stepdad was an American soldier, brought me and my older sister from Vietnam to America with my mom during, what was it, 74, 75?
Yeah.
Around that time.
So you were 4 or 5 years old?
Yep.
And when you went to school, you didn't speak English?
I went to school. I spoke broken English by then because my mom refused to speak to us in Vietnamese so we could learn English and adapt and accolade.
Did your mom know English?
No, she knew no English. That's why she refused to speak to us Vietnamese. It was really hard at first because obviously we can't speak to her because she won't speak to us in Vietnamese. That's all we knew how to speak at the time. And so it was a big learning curve. I just remember there was a lot of miscommunication at first because she was learning English too. You know what I mean? And so my mom's very strong-willed. And so when she said she wanted to speak with me, she just totally cut us off.
Yeah.
So that way we could learn English right away. Yeah.
And you guys settled in Kansas.
Hays, Kansas, of all places. If anybody knows Kansas, it's Hays, Kansas, and usually they're Caucasian or white. And I grew up, my stepdad's family is German Catholic, and at that time it was predominantly just German Catholic community.
How big of a culture shock was that for you?
Well, it wasn't, because I don't really remember Vietnam.
Really?
Yeah. Did some therapy and stuff like that. They said at that age, during traumatic times, kids usually can compartmentalize. And that's why I did compartmentalize I guess I did. Because now, after doing a lot of therapy and work and stuff like that, I can remember bits and pieces. And then I went back to Vietnam to meet my dad, who I didn't know I had a dad. My mom said he was dead and an asshole. And so I finally met him, and it was weird. It's like being an adopted child or a foster child. I don't know which one. Like finally meeting your birth parents. And there was a lot of anger and resentment. I went back about 5-7 times before I got that healing. The first 2-3 times I was angry, wanted to kill him. Just like, why would you leave me? Why would you let me go to America? Why wasn't I good enough to be kept in Vietnam? And he kept my oldest brother and oldest sister there, you know.
Why did they split the kids?
They split the kids because my mom was in an arranged marriage. She didn't love him in the first place. He's very simple man. He's very everyday guy. And my mom was very ambitious entrepreneur. And so they never got on the same page. Like, she wanted a man that was aggressive, entrepreneurial, gonna be a billionaire type of guy. And he was just content with every day. I mean, he taught me just being grateful for being in the moment and what you have. I mean, my mom and my dad, polar opposites. So I got both ends. But I got taught by my dad by going back to Vietnam and spending a couple weeks with him at a time and learning about him. And
do you still speak Vietnamese?
I learned Vietnamese off the streets, actually in Arlington, Texas.
Really?
Yeah, on the streets. I was 13, 14? Because my brother, I don't know, I was young. I could do everything by grades. I was around 7th, 8th grade.
Yeah.
9th grade the latest, 7th, 8th grade. At that time, Vietnamese community just came to Grand Prairie and Arlington area. And these guys are homeless boys. Their parents put them on the boat, refugee boat, get them here to get out of the war. And they landed here with nobody. So we're community. All of us boys, no father, no raising, nothing. And we raised ourselves. I learned everything on the street. I just wanted to know who I was, where I came from. And I picked up the language.
I remember during my years that I worked for Dr. Dobson, he had an illustration of in elephant communities,
Oh, yeah.
When the males, the adult males, were killed, not present, the juveniles grew up to be very aggressive and very antisocial, and they didn't understand violent. Exactly. And Doc used that as an analogy for young boys, human boys, that grow up in communities without fathers, and thus it feeds this anger and violence. And I assume you saw that.
Saw it. I wasn't. Where do you think they got the statistics from? And I'm not kidding. In 1990, I was top 10 most wanted in Dallas County.
We'll get back to that.
I'm just giving you the point. When there's no male elephant there, no father, no leadership, we don't know if we became men yet. And what do we have to do? Drink, smoke, kill, destroy. And that's what we're told. Society, everything. That's what men do. Right?
So going back to Hays, Kansas, you're Vietnamese in a predominantly Caucasian town. Yeah,
it's all Caucasian. German Catholic predominantly. There's the only ones who were not. There's no Mexicans there. I mean, none.
Really?
Zero. No, listen, to this day, there's very few. I could tell you funny stories, but that's how you're 100% right. It was only us three that were not Caucasian for the first 5-10 years of my life growing up.
What was that like?
I didn't know any difference. I thought I was Caucasian. No, I'm not lying to you, Steve. Yeah. I didn't know the difference. Because when you grow up and the kids you play with, your neighbors, your cousins, everybody, you know. So I never thought I was any different until they told me.
And how did they tell you?
So I was going to St. Joseph, St. Joseph Catholic school. And I think I was probably 4th grade maybe at that time. 3rd grade, 4th grade. And the kids are like normal, go outside, recess and play. And they said, hey, Sebastian, we got a game for you. We got a game we just made up just for you. Oh, let's do it, right? And all of a sudden they made this horseshoe in front of me. So everybody's making this horseshoe around me. And I'm like, well, who's on my team? I turn around and nobody's behind me. It's just me. And they started calling me names I've never heard in my life, right? Remember, right in the middle of Vietnam War. So how old are you when you're in, I'm trying to think, my daughter right now is 10. She's in 5th. So 8 years old, 7 years old. And I've never heard these words before. They called me chink, gook, and they pulled their eyes back and started running backwards. They're like, what's going on? You know? And I didn't understand what was going on, but I looked and they're moving backwards, but no one's on my side. Oh, I gotta go get them. But there was something they said just pierced the crap out of my heart when they were saying, because they're isolating me, they're saying these things, and I just, you know, wanted to fit in and connect, but that hurt so bad that day. And what I realized later on was that they were picking parts of me that were not like them, pulling it apart, making fun of my eyes and my nose and my skin color. And I was like, what? I didn't understand it. And that day, I still remember making this commitment that I never wanted to hear them ever say again, you're not like us. Not like me, not individual, but collective. You're not like us. And that's when I realized I am not white. You know, that's when I looked in the mirror a little bit longer and looked at my eyes, looked in the mirror longer, looked at my nose, looked in the mirror, looked a little bit longer at everything about me. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What was your parents' reaction? Did you tell them?
You know, I don't remember. I don't remember the engagement. I don't remember a conversation. I remember, you know, just that was a pivotal moment in my life. Then, like, my parents got divorced afterwards. Like, I don't know what happened. Somehow I went with my mom to Texas. And the first time in my life, see, I thought the story I made up to protect my little heart at that time was they were just jealous I had a better tan than they did. Seriously, I made up that story in my head.
For me, I always wanted more melanin in my skin, and so I'm jealous of your skin tone, dude.
You should see my kids. They're naturally dark. When we live in California the last 25 years, when the sun's out, man, they get tans like crazy. It's crazy. But so when my parents divorced, I don't remember having any conversation with them. We were in Dallas, Texas first time. I was like, holy shit. I saw this guy have a better tan than me. I was like, oh my gosh. I was like, but you know what? Because I learned how to be discriminate, because they did that to me and I'm being discriminate to myself. But there's something wrong with his eyes, you know, because he didn't look like me. It was a Mexican. First time I ever saw a Mexican. I was like, oh my God, you know, but there's something pulled me closer to him, like, because he was close to me. He's dark. You know, I was like, all right, I've never seen a Mexican in my life. But then, like, make a long story short, I saw this other guy with the ultimate tan. I was like, intimidated. I go, oh shit, this guy got real tan, and he was a black guy. But no, he's too tall, too big, too strong. And I started picking him apart. And I didn't know at that time, but now I know. I was learning how to be racist and discriminate, because that's what happened to me. And I was quote unquote surviving. So I didn't want to hear anybody say, you're not like us. And the reason I did it, because I wanted to study them so I could be like them. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So your mom takes you to Texas. Mm-hmm. What's going on in your life?
That time, I don't know. I was too young. I do remember we landed in a house, 4th grade, because I remember I liked this girl at 4th grade who was twice as tall as me. I got to see her in 5th grade. And at that time, we're in an all Mexican community, low income area in Grand Prairie, Texas. How was that? 78 by then? Not even 1980 yet. 78, 79. And I just remember doing whatever it took to fit in. So my friends' dads and uncle live in the area. They get drugs across the border. And they're Mexican. Would watch them cut it up. And they'd say, hey, take this down so street, whatever. Now listen, I could tell you this story until I had to stop and reflect and think about it. This is my daughter's age. She's 10 right now in 5th grade. But we'd just take this, and we thought it was fun. It was normal. We'd take these bags, sometimes, just little, like handbag size. Sometimes it's a little duffel bag. And we just drop them off to certain people's houses. Just 2 8, 10-year-olds walking down the street, dropping off drugs.
Did you know what they were? Did you know?
I had no idea. I mean,
were you getting paid?
Yeah, they'd give us like candy money or something like that. It was no big deal. But I do remember one time, now I'm in 5th grade, we're sitting there watching them cut it up because, they usually cut it up, give it to us and go whatever. And I have no idea where this came from. And I just looked at him and I said, hey, Uncle, I was watching you and I've been watching you. And if you do this other one more step, I think you can get more. And he looked at me and he said, Sebastian, we've done this for a generation. He goes, you think you're a 5th grader? You think you could do better? And I just went, yeah. I mean, I literally did because it was out of innocence. It was out of competition. It was just, I saw something. I have this natural eye seeing processes. And hence what I do now as a business coach. I see processes and stuff. And he said, all right, here. I didn't know what was going on at that time. He gave me a quarter bag at that time. And he said, you go sell this in a week. You come back and you have enough money, I'll sell you more. And I was like, ooh, game on. I didn't really understand what was going on. I didn't know what he was doing. I didn't know. I just felt like it was a rite of passage. It was a blessing. It was an opportunity, right? So then me and my friend, which was his dad, the uncle, quote unquote, son, we went and got our first scale. We had to ask our friends and we cut it up. We went and sold it at our school, elementary. And man, we came back in like 5 days, not even 7 days. And I said, I want more. And I gave it to him. And I got addicted to being a businessman. Hey, wait, I got to tell you what businessman I was before that. Before that, in 4th grade, we'd go to Kmart and we'd steal pins. The big pin just came out with the 4 different colors. Mm-hmm. Holy smokes. It's going to revolutionize all school. I mean, in my mind, right? And we'd steal those pins and I'd sell them at school. And I mean, you just see the profit, and all that. I was going nuts. And then he gives me drugs I didn't know at the time, selling them, making tons of money. And then everything went south or north, however you want to describe it after that. For a season, it felt like it was going north. Everything's going great, right?
How so?
Well, I felt like a man. I felt like I got a blessing from these guys. What I find out later in my journey is those men were like every other man in my life previous to that, including FBI, Chinese Mafia, Mexican Mafia. I'm a tissue box. And they'll use me until the box is empty. Then they discard you. And so during that time, though, I kind of knew it, but it felt so good to be needed, wanted, and approved and appreciated. I'd do whatever it takes. Just to hear Uncle say, hey, good job, here's more. Hey, good job, What was the next step in your business journey?
So
let's fast forward. Now,
quote unquote business journey.
Yeah, now I'm in 8th grade. I can remember this so vivid. 7th, 8th grade. I bought my first car cash, and I was 15. My mom took me to a car dealership. We bought it. I learned how to drive it. It was a stick shift. I drove it to driver's ed, and she was so pissed I was driving driver's ed. I go, how else am I going to get here? I live, my mom's working, right?
And she was working like 2 or 3 jobs, right?
Yeah, she was working 3 jobs a day at that time. And I drove myself driver's ed, just go get through the process. And at that time, I was driving to about 3 junior highs, 2 high schools where I was dropping stuff off, collecting money from them. And I was making a ton load money at that age and that time. You know, this is probably 85, 86.
How much were you making? Do you remember?
Oh, easily. Well, depending on the drop-off school. The school made me most money, I still remember, it's in Duncanville. It was a private Catholic school, I think it was. And those kids had so much money. Their parents just threw money at them. And I was probably making $300 to $500 depending on that school. So each school would go from $100 to $300 on average. And so each week I'd make about $500 to $1,000 a week. In 85.
In 85?
85. Because I remember giving my big brother and sister, in the Asian culture, is a huge thing. I'd give them $100 a weekend to go party. And I'd be partying with them. But for your youngest brother, give your older brother and sister money to go out, dude, that's gangster. I mean, that's gangster. And there's other perks I got that made me feel more like a man, which was, now I look back, I was like, man, I should have died several times. But no, just, we were taught a man who could drink a lot, smoke a lot, have a lot of sex, and win fights was a real man. And so I was doing all that by 8th grade. While I was making straight A's. School was so boring.
Really?
Oh, school was so boring. I'd finish all the work in classroom, homework, and all that junk. And actually, I enjoyed it. It was a challenge, but it was boring, you know? Because it's all rote memory. It wasn't like really make you think.
It wasn't learning.
It wasn't learning. It didn't make you think. I had to figure out how to distribute this stuff, not get caught. Oh, and by the way, I started a second business with still cars. Because, you know, you get in this world, you get to meet a lot of people you're dealing drugs to. And it wasn't because I needed the money. I wanted the approval and I wanted the challenge. So one of the uncles who were selling drugs and all that said, hey, dude, I could get you $300 a pop for every truck you bring me. Chevy truck. Back then, you need one screwdriver. Open up the window because it didn't lock. You pull back open the window, you unlock it, take a screwdriver, break the column, pull the lever. You got a Chevy truck. $300. And what they do is take the engine, take it out, restart for other trucks and stuff like that. They burn the rest and chop it up. And the coolest part, not cool like back then it was cool because it was just the most emotional rush your body go through. Driving through Duncanville, I had to pass a police station, get to the chop shop. Man, and we could have gone different routes, but that's when I wanted to feel alive. I drive right by a police station with a stolen truck. Just to say, see, I could do it. That was, what, 8th, 9th grade. Isn't that crazy? That was stupid. And I didn't need to. That's the whole thing. I didn't need to do that. I wanted to do that.
So what was high school like?
I don't know. I wasn't there very much. I was serious. I wasn't there very much. But I'll tell you a couple of stories that framed me in my high school. So, obviously Asian, but there was no Asians in Grand Prairie, Arlington at that time. I was all with the Mexican Mafia. And then we get to freshman year. My brother immigrates to America with like 14 uncles and aunts all at once. My mom's been paying money.
Your older
working
brother.
in the government. My older biological brother, which I didn't know I had, by the way. My mother, out of nowhere one day goes, hey, come sit down. I need to talk to you. Your brother's coming to America. Me and my sister look at him like, what the fuck? Our brother?
Yeah.
We don't have a brother. What are you talking about? Well, I didn't want to tell you have an older brother in case he died before he made it to America. You know, they have to go to a refugee camp. They have to sneak out of Vietnam, all kinds of crazy stuff. And anyways, she said, he's coming to America. He comes to America. And I look at him and go, that's not my brother. Dude is dark as heck, wearing high waters. Back then we call it high waters, pants up there. Now they just call it cool to wear pants like that. We were poor, we had high waters. Now they intentionally pay $100 for pants that can't go down to your ankle. And so, anyways, long story short, my body just went off like, I want to know where I came from. I want to know who I am. And I'm watching them use pencils to eat. Like, what the fuck? Why don't they use forks? I didn't even know what chopsticks were at that time. I'm not kidding you, man. I was like, what is going on right here? They're speaking this weird language. They're dark as hell because being on the beach, refugee camp. His hair is like a fro. I'm not that. That's not me. I'm with the Mexicans. They're cool. So long story short, my business mind went off. And the Vietnamese people love at least this group of guys because they homeless, no father, no family. We call them sticky fingers. So Vietnamese people go to your house, they touch something, it's gone. They have sticky fingers. They love stealing. Yeah. Break in houses, stealing, stuff like that. The Mexicans I was with had all the drugs. Vietnamese like drugs, but the Mexicans like the cars that go boom. Vietnamese will either steal the car, everything in the car, anything you want, and go in houses, steal guns, and back in the day, and give them to my Mexican friends. So I said, hey, I will get the Vietnamese to steal whatever we want, and I'll give them the drugs from the Mexicans, and I'll give the Mexicans whatever they want from the Vietnamese. And if anybody fucks with the Vietnamese, I'll ask the Mexicans to go kick their ass. If anybody fucks with the Mexicans, I'll get the Vietnamese to do it. And holy shit, by the time I was 10th grade, I was like the king. I kid you not. I still remember someone messed with the Mexicans, so we found out who it was. Everybody went to school. We stole his car, took it out of the parking lot, came back out. We're all sitting in our car where he parked his. All the Vietnamese sitting there waiting to see if we could find his car. They knew exactly what they did. They just had no proof. Guess where we took it to? The chop shop. After that went on, people was like, holy crap, don't mess with the Mexicans or the Vietnamese. Because they knew now we're collaborating. I didn't even know what collaboration was until then. Until now, actually, I'll spell it now. But that was how. So 10th grade, I dropped out. I had the highest in-school suspension rate. I was still making straight A's, bored as hell. But I was feeling this power. I was feeling this significance. But it was very short-lived. Every weekend I had to go next level, next level.
You didn't have anyone coming alongside you within the school system saying, hey, Sebastian.
One lady.
Really?
One time, my art teacher, Miss Sharon Murphy, that's the only person I ever remember their name. She said, hey, you are a very special kid. There's going to be two things going to happen to you. And you're going to have to decide. She said, you're going to be a CEO of a company, which I had no idea what the hell she was talking about. And she said, or you're going to be a boss of a crime organization and be in prison. And I go, okay. I had no idea what she was talking about. But that's all she told me. I still remember that. She saw something in me, and she said that's all I remember. But no one else. Nobody.
Really?
Nobody else.
You're getting straight A's.
Yeah.
You're getting straight A's.
Oh, I got a lot of spankings. You go to principal's office, back then they had paddle. Holy shit, that hurt. I still remember this day, man. One of his paddle had drilled holes in it. Oh, crap. You put your hand on his desk. Pop! Even though that hurt. I remember first time he hit me, I said, ice! First thing my mind was like, I need some ice! I yelled, ice, ice! But as soon as I left the office, I had to put on this tough guy image and all that. But it hurt like hell. But then I realized I got a lot of attention.
What was the kind of stuff that you would get in trouble with in school?
Oh, I lied a lot. Like, I did a project, and I said that I did it or something. I don't know. I just remember one time, they said, we know you didn't do this, whatever. And so they sent me to the office. And so I got some swacks for that. And later,
would you pay someone to do your homework?
I just did it really fast. And I just didn't have any sources because it was just all BS. You know what I mean? I didn't document sources and all that. And it's like, they think someone did for it. No one did anything for me. This is how easy school was. Why do you need to source something that's so stupid and redundant, in my opinion, at that time?
Yeah. So you drop out. What's going on in your life? Does your mom know what's going on?
She's working 3 jobs a day. She doesn't really know what's going on. We fake signatures, like, when you have to, if you miss school and stuff. The reason I dropped out in 10th grade was because at that time in Texas, if you're 17, you're considered a legal adult. And I got put in prison. I got put in jail. We were taking some guys down. Gosh, dog, I forgot what it's called. It's in downtown Dallas. It's not Deep Elm. It's like where all the tourists go. It's right by the Union Tower and all. It's just like an entertainment plaza area. I don't even know what you call it here in Colorado. But I forgot what it's called there. And we were just enamored by it. It's cool. They had street dancers, vendors. You have bars on the side, restaurants. It's a whole, you go park and just walk around. It's a nice little area. I forgot what it's called, but we came out one time and there's 4 guys just came to Vietnam. We're showing them this is fucking America, dude. This is awesome, right? And we saw this guys gathering, so we thought maybe it's performers, street performers, so we'll go over there and kind of push our way through. There's a whole bunch of guys fighting with each other, about to fight each other. And then they turn and look at us and goes, what are you fucking chinks looking at? Oh, man, wrong thing to say. I mean, just making us lose face in front of all these people and stuff. I just got a knife gifted to me from the Mexican Mafia. They called it a switchblade because we couldn't get a lot of them in America at the time. And so for me to have one was really prestigious, I guess the word. Well, I had a knife. I should use it, right? Put a couple of guys in the hospital. I was out for 3 months while one guy was in ICU. If he died, it would have been a murder charge.
Wow.
And so no one knew where I was for 3 months. Just my brother and a couple of the guys in the Mafia. So my mom didn't even know.
What?
No.
What was the story?
He went off with some guys and he's doing dumb shit or something. Isn't that crazy?
And you only spent 3 months.
Well, two things happen when you're in prison, okay? I know our legal system pretty well now, and it really sucks. You have money and you have contacts, you're good.
And you had money.
I had contacts. And so they got me out. That's when I became, I got out first time, paid a lot of money, did a lot of parole, all that good stuff, and like got put in again, and like
For
got
what?
out. Violence. Every time I was violent. I was in the Napoleon complex. Angry. I had to prove myself. Am I a man? I've never heard a man say, hey, you're good. You're more than enough. You're uniquely, wonderfully created. Nothing. I heard shit from any other man except for more. Let's go. Let's make more money. Come on, more and more. And so the level of my intensity, what I did, kept on rising so I could be more significant. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. And so third time, but this time wasn't mine, just because I speak English and Vietnamese, and I was on borderline with the Mexicans and Vietnamese. The cops always came to me, shake me down when something happened. Even though I didn't know what's going on, they just know who hung out with and stuff. And they're trying to get me for a murder charge at this park, and I didn't do that one. I wasn't going to tell who did that one. And I posted bail before court hearing, and I said, screw that. This can be my third strike. I'm not going to do this. And so I went to New York, where I had some guys would come down buy guns from us. In Texas, back in the 80s and early 90s, guns were like candy. I mean, you get them anywhere and everywhere. I'd have guys who's working at Kmart, Walmart, and stuff like, was it Walmart? No, it was something else at that time. But anyways, I'd call them. They'd put a gun, they'd unlock it from the locker, put it in the trash, take it to the back dumpster, and I'd drive up, pick it up, give them $100 and drive off. And I'd sell it for almost $1,000 to people in New York. So I called them because they've been coming down to business, say, hey, I'm in big trouble. I'm going to go down for a long time. I'm going to, just flee. Will you guys take care of me? They said, yeah, heck yeah. So we went up there. I brought like 15 guns as a gift to them. Mm-hmm. And I took 10 guys with me, and we went to New York, and I never saw, after 10th grade, didn't know what school looked like or anything after that. Yeah. That was my life.
And who was it that you called while you were there?
What do you mean, who was it?
Who was it that brought you in?
So those guys who come down buy guns for me and stuff like that, one of my uncles.
But they were working for, part of...
Oh, yeah, the Chinese Mafia. The original 3 triads that came to America called Hongmun, which means Red Door. So back, I don't know how many years ago, but original 3 triads that came from Hong Kong into New York, and they're the one I was supplying guns to. And so there's a, hell yeah, come on. You do that there, man. We got a lot of stuff you do up here. And I still have my contacts, Texas, who would sell us guns and bring guns up for us and stuff like that. Yep.
So what were you doing with the Chinese Mafia?
So I'm going to make a long story short because there's a lot I was doing. So first they locked us up for several months, take all our IDs, throw us the biggest box of ramen noodles, stack it up to the ceiling, 10,000 cartons of eggs, and we don't see them for 3 months. Because you got to make sure the FBI's not watching, we're not clean, blah, blah, blah. They're making us new IDs and all that stuff. Now that we're out, they want to test us. We have to go up the ranks to test. So I went all the way up the ranks to be a bodyguard. I knew that's what I wanted to do because, 1, that's power and position. 2, you didn't take all the risks. I was my boss's bodyguard. So you have the Godfather, 3 uncles. Each uncle got 2 bosses, right? Mm-hmm. So I wanted to be a bodyguard for one of my uncles. He's next in line to the Godfather. And that was my ambition, and I made it. And I became bodyguard to this guy called the Uncle. He was with Uncle. And we had a street. Each mafia has their own street where they launder money through. And then they made me responsible for that street. Meaning, I had to go every month, make sure each person is paying protection money, 10% of their books. And we got to launder our drug money through their books. So listen to this. They have to pay 10% protection money. So if they're only making, quote, unquote, 100,000 that month, but I'm laundering 200,000 through their thing, that paid me protection money off of 300,000. Not the 100,000 they really made. Mm-hmm. That's how bad and evil we were. We were robbing people blind. I mean, these are everyday, hardworking entrepreneurs, business people, and we were just screwing them. And I was covering a street, and they would take one of the stores, would transform it into our, quote, unquote, ladies' house, whorehouse, and I was responsible for that. Anything happened on that street, anything that would draw attention, police, or somebody got hurt, it was my life at stake. Talking about learning how to micromanage.
Wow.
I mean, no sleep, micromanage. I remember I never literally slept. I mean, I didn't feel like I ever slept. I could hear pins drop from a mile away. It was intense. It was a horrible life. It was horrible. And everybody thinks it's great because I watch the movies and stuff. But when you don't know someone's going to stab you in the back, metaphorically and literally, shoot you, someone rapes one of your whores, you have to go kill them. I mean, just, it's crazy. It's a crazy world. Someone ODs off your drugs, you got to hide that and clean it up. It's stupid. It was not, people watch movies, they don't really understand. That's a movie. They leave a lot of stuff out. So that was me till I was 21. Yeah, between 15, 21.
Now, you didn't just stop at being a bodyguard for the uncle.
Mm-mm. Like everybody else, I get very ambitious because it wasn't even for the money. We had too much money. At that time, you guys remember, New York heydays, I came right at the heyday. Right at the tail end of it. I mean, we'd go buy a new car, 30, 40,000 back then, cash, everything's cash. Anything back then, I don't know if you guys remember the suitcase phone came out. I mean, you carried it in a suitcase, right?
Yeah.
And like the brick phone came out. Dude, that was like $1.25 a minute or so. It was ridiculous, right? We didn't give crap. I mean, we had money coming out of our butt. But I wanted to be a boss, not because of needing money, just again for that status and acceptance. That's it. I needed to hear a man say, hey, I'm proud of you, son. You're doing good. It's something simple like that. But I never felt I arrived. I never felt, is this enough? Did I do right? Did I do enough? Have I arrived? Am I enough? So it's just that constant climbing, climbing. But to climb in that world, you have to step on people. And you look back now, you're like, holy shit. It was horrible. Yeah. I look back now, I did not know it. You ask my wife, we've been married 26 years now. She married me after I got out of prison and a year or two after I became a Christian. And she's like, we're sleeping and I'd be jerking, like my whole body jerking stuff because I'm having PSTD. I didn't realize when I'd punch her and she had to wake me out cold sweats and stuff. I didn't know what was going on. But it was all those people that I was climbing over. I wouldn't remember anybody's name. I just see the face, just reliving it emotionally. No, I've seen some bad things. Literally, where we're sitting right here, this close, where you're at, Steve, turns to the guy next to you, blows his head off right in front of me.
Oh my God.
18 years oldish, 17, 18, seeing that? How do you get that out of your brain?
Yeah.
And the guy's looking at me, he's dead, his head's back like that, his brain's all against that wall. And you're like, and then he turns his gun to me.
Why?
They were robbing us. We had a store. Because everything's cash. Mm-hmm. I came in the middle of a robbery. I walked in on our robbery. This other group robbing our place.
How'd you get out of that?
Well, when he turned the gun on me, and here's the thing. They're robbing a Chinese store, which now I spoke broken Chinese and Vietnamese. They're Vietnamese, speaking Vietnamese. No one in that room. There's like 8 of us in this room, all on our knees and stuff. They gather all the employees. And no one except for me understood. He says, now we have to kill everyone. I was like, mother effer. Mm-hmm. And soon as he shot that guy, and he was about to shoot me, the guy standing in front of him, holding his gun on my head already, he said, now we have to shoot them all. And he points a gun to me. This guy runs in, opens the door, let's go, the cops are here, or something like that. I mean, in that split second, I thought I was dead. The guy next to me, which was the owner's son, who's like freaking 250-pound muscular. I mean, like he works out. It was already shot in the neck. He's laying there bleeding out from his neck. Because they had to do that right away, put everybody in check, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. I walk in late, looking at this guy, he's got a bullet in his neck, holding his neck, blood's all gushing out. They're asking the owner where the cash is. We went and tell him, pop, his head against the wall. All this happened so fast. He says, now we have to kill them all. So they don't know what we look, they know what we look like, right?
Yeah.
Then all of a sudden his friend runs in, opens the door, let's go, they're here. And they just left. And I just stood for like, I don't know, felt like years going, what the fuck just happened? Like, well, how come I'm not dead and all this? It was intense, bro.
And that wasn't a wake-up call to you to be like...
Wake up to do what, though? Wake up to do what? That is the world I lived in. What's the next thing? You just got to go kill them to take revenge so your name has reputation. Other people won't do that. There was no other option. When I got out of prison, I went back at my GED, good enough degree, AA, BA, MBA. I found out, did you know seniors get a senior trip and travel together? Mm-hmm. I go, motherfucker, someone told me that I would have stayed in high school. You hang out with your friends and you go travel the world. I was like, my world was only where my foot take me, about 10 miles where my car took me. When you live that low income lifestyle, that's as far as you go. Because outside that, you have no reputation. Outside that, you go into wealthier areas that you know you stick out. You know the cops will pull you over. All kinds of crap like that. You know what I mean? So I didn't know there was another option, Steve. I literally didn't know. All I knew at that time, those motherfuckers going to die. That's it. Next thing you think of is revenge and escalate everything higher and higher and higher. Everything just escalates. So is that crazy? I'll tell you when I did know though.
Yeah.
So right after that actually happened, that actually accelerated my status position because I didn't die. So now the gods are for me or something, right?
Yeah.
And so now I'm a mafia boss walking down the street, 2 full-time bodyguards, whatever girl I woke up with that morning, just going to the regular dim sum restaurant we go to eat, hang out, talk bullshit, recover from a hangover the night before. And this white guy, like freaking probably 50 yards away, down the street, he's in a suit. And I'm like, this is just something weird. Something off my whole radar body saying, why is this guy on my street and all that? And he didn't stop talk to one person until he just walked through the crowd up to me. And I was like, oh shit. My bodyguards see him all that. They put their arm out, keep him away from me. He hands me this pamphlet. He says, hey, Jesus loves you and I love you. Oh man, my whole body went nuts. I said, fuck you, white man. No, not verbally. Everything happened in my heart and my head. I couldn't say anything. But I was like, fuck you, white man. How dare you tell me you love me? You don't even know me. You've called me a chink, a gook. You made fun of my eyes, my skin. Always I'm projecting. But I was like, how can this fucking white man, my stepdad never told me shit like that. And I just wanted him to shut up, stop it, shut up. And if Jesus was real, I grew up Catholic. If Jesus was real, how come he's never told me this stuff? He's just a story, right? Mm-hmm. Christmas stories and stuff like that. And all this happened maybe a matter of seconds. I just remember grabbing that pamphlet, crumbling up, threw it back at him. And it bounced off his face. And he goes, one more time, he goes, Jesus loves you and I love you. I go, motherfucker, you're going to die now. I was like, bitch, you only say it once, you say it twice to me. I wanted to tell my bodyguards to shoot him. I couldn't open my mouth. I had a gun right here. I went to reach down, grab my gun and shoot him. I couldn't do it. Someone's like stopping me. And all I could do is nod my head like this. And my bodyguard pushes him out of the way. I walk forward. The guy's walking off. But something tells me turn around, like danger, danger, turn around. So I turn around like if that guy was trying to hurt me, right? And he turns at the exact same time. He looks right at me, Steve, and scared the shit out of me. It's like from a distance, he looked straight at me and you can see through all the mask I was wearing. And it's just this little boy scared, just wanting to know who his dad was. Was he enough? It felt like he could read that on me. And my whole body just shook with shiver, like fear. Like he could see that through me. It's like he had x-ray vision or something. So I did what I do best. I reached in my pocket. I grabbed another mask. I put it on like I'm not scared. Turned around and walked off. Like you're not going to hurt me. And man, after that, my whole life went downhill.
How so?
That guy fucked me up, man. All I heard back in my head was, Jesus loves you, I love you. I'm like, what the fuck is this word love? How can somebody who doesn't even know me tell me that? And he's fucking white. And he can't gain anything from me. Every woman that needed something from me, I knew what she was there for, what she needed from me. My money. All the guys wanted drugs, power position, more guns, whatever. At least I knew that love. I knew those loves had strings attached. I knew those loves were conditional. I was fine with it because I could play the game. Right? Mm-hmm. All transactional. But the love that guy was talking about was so fucked up. I was like, I couldn't sleep. I literally couldn't sleep. All I kept hearing this back in my head, Jesus loves you, I love you. This like whisper, right? Yeah. And it was driving me nuts. So I took more drugs I ever took. I drank more I ever drank. I fought more I ever fought. And I started going downhill because I started drawing attention. Right? I started drawing attention of the police. So long story short.
Which wasn't good for your...
We never draw attention.
For the uncles and for the Godfather.
We never draw attention. We were literally, when you say organized crime, it's a business. So in Texas, when we got in fights and we shoot people and all that, no problem. It's like status, reputation. In New York, you can't shoot somebody or kill anybody without permission. Or self-defense. But that was how business oriented was. I mean, I learned business. I mean, it was amazing. It was amazing. a lot more than my MBA ever taught me. I guarantee you that. Because I learned how to deal with people. I learned how to hear what their intended need was, what was really their underlying intent, and all stuff like that. So long story short, I'm getting too much attention, going downhill, and then finally the FBI come in, raided us. It was a tag joint thing because the FBI and ATF at the same time, they raided the house that we were in, and that's why I was facing 6 years to life.
For what?
Oh man, they've been surveilling us for over 3 months.
Really?
So what they were trying to do is get our godfather, who I learned a long time later, killed an FBI agent under a bridge in New York. He killed an FBI agent, so they've been after him and our whole silo. And I just happened to show up on the scene. I didn't know all this. And if they get me, and they get me for 6 years life, they want me to roll over on him because I had access to him because I was close enough to the uncles and then him 2 steps away. And they're trying to squeeze me to do that. And so they've been watching us for over 3 months. Oh, man, everything. They knew everything we did, every person we collect money from, everything. I mean, they knew everything. There was nothing they didn't know, man. It was kind of scary. It's like, growing up Catholic, they said one day you're going to be at the gates of heaven and they're going to reveal everything. I was like, oh shit, that was the day. I mean, it was on VHS tapes back then. They had it all on video. Yeah. We couldn't deny anything. It was crazy. It was intense.
And you weren't willing to roll over?
Nope. Because that's how we play. So here's what happens. I learned this again in hindsight. When they took our IDs and stuff, because they follow us back to Dallas, so they know where our family and all that is. Now they have leverage on me. If I ever rolled over, I'm not worried they're going to kill me slowly and publicly. They're going to kill my family first. So I know that I was cause of their death. Then they kill me publicly and slowly. I was like, my family didn't deserve that. Basically, my sister and my mom at that time. They didn't do anything. So there's no way I'm going to do anything for this Godfather guy. I'm not going to roll over on him. So, he's going to get what he gets, but I'm not going to do that for my mom and my sister. I still had some humanity left in me. That very little, but that's the only humanity I think I had left in me at that time.
But you also knew that your life expectancy in prison probably wasn't going to be that long.
No, I know for sure it'd probably be a week, 2 max. When we get in those situations, we pay, you have to pay. You play, you have to pay. We get in those situations, FBI is going to try to get you really turn over real quick, sign some papers, all that stuff. Or you don't, you wait and you die. Now, this is not for everybody. I was a higher rank. Remember, I was a boss. So at that level, I know where the books are. I know who's on our payroll, the percentages that we take from each store. I mean, there's so much evidence. They went to the stores and got that's how I got 6 years, because each one was like 13-year count of extortion or racketeering, they call it. Racketeering, right? Yeah. Extortion. Each store is a 13-year count, maximum 13 years. And so they had like 10, 20 people ready to testify against me, going collect money from them. Then our thing is quickly get them to say they're not going to go because we blackmail them with killing their family, But I think 6 or 8 of them went through with it. I'm facing 6 years to life. And if I don't turn over, so the FBI have so much leverage on me. They're saying, hey, it's you or him. You choose. He's a piece of shit. Why would you not roll over on him, right? You have the rest of your life, you're a little kid, blah, 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 blah. But I had different morality growing up in a sense of we just don't turn on each other. That's family. As fucked up as this family is, this is my family. I chose these people. Yeah. Right? So I was just going to die. So I waited in my jail cell waiting for some guy to come in and kill me.
And you didn't want to get shanked?
No, I did not. That's the most embarrassing way to die in prison. It's very humiliating. There's no honor to it. Getting shanked is being so disrespected. I know this sounds really weird. I'm saying it now. I'm thinking, damn, death is death. But for the lifestyle we live, that is fucked up if you get shanked. I mean, that's like your whole life was for nothing. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. It's more honorable to die in a fight. And they, cut your throat. They tear off your head. Anything but shanked. Because shank, what happens is they find sharp objects, stab you multiple times, and then break it in you to die, leaving you in to die. Because when they pull out, you're going to die hemorrhaging, right? And so that's just like the most lowest way to die. It's not honorable. You know what I mean? And so I was just waiting there. I was going to have the biggest fight of my life with somebody. And I was there, and the FBI just told me that morning, saying, hey, listen, they just hired somebody that is a lifer, meaning that they're going to be in prison the rest of their life. And he's in the system already, and you probably have 48 hours maximum to live. So you better sign the papers now. So I don't know if it's a scare technique on it. I just know it's real because I know a lot of guys gone in and never came back out. Yeah. You know what I mean? In our lifestyle. So I said, nope, not going to do it. And this guy comes up my jail cell that night. I was like, oh shit, this is it. I felt it before the guy even came up. I literally felt it. So I'll give you an example. There's this guy named Russ who's sitting right next to you. Don't know him from Hill Beans. I just been seeing him on our Facebook group with the Holy Smokes. And he started cooking and he started doing all this. There's this transition going on in him. And I was like, shit, I need to go to this guy because I feel like I'm in the same life stage. Like there's this passion coming out of me. And so I was going to contact him this week. I told my wife, right? I said, my kids just came out of town. This motherfucker texts me. He goes, you want to grab a stick? I go, what the Christmas? It's like that, Steven. You feel it, right? I felt like tonight I'm going to die. I know it. I just knew it in my body. I've lived such a violent lifestyle. So I'm sitting in my jail cell, never left it, never went to mass pop, and I'm just watching mass population, eat nothing. I just sit there. I'm waiting. I felt this shadow come. I was like, oh, fuck, this guy's huge. It's the biggest black man I ever seen. I'm not even exaggerating. That's my 4th, 5th time in prison. That was the biggest black man I ever seen, man. He was so big, he couldn't even walk through the door. He had to turn sideways, walk in. That's how big he was. But he gets in. And
was he your roommate or just coming in?
I've never seen this guy before.
Yeah.
And he goes, hey, I'm down cell block so-and-so. My name's so-and-so. And he reaches in his back. I'm like, motherfucker just introduced me before he kills me. I was like, what kind of fucking guy is it? My head's going crazy. Everything, my body's going nuts. I get in fighting position. Man, I was Golden Glove boxing when I was in Dallas, Texas. Tri-State, 2nd place Tri-State. I was in Golden Gloves. I'm trained martial arts. I'm trained biting. I know it all. I was going to take whatever it takes to kill this guy, right? And he reaches back. Oh, the guy was so big. All he had to do was grab my neck and snap me. That would have been honorable. But he's going to shank me now? That's so disrespectful. And I'm now getting angry. He reaches back there and I'm getting five positions. And I'm like scanning his body. I don't know where to hit him. There is nowhere to hit this guy. He was... My stepdad used to say brick shit house. He was huge. Like there was no pain point on him. And so I was just going to hit him right in the middle of the throat, try to break his Adam's apple, right? And he reaches, pulls out this book, and my whole body just freezes. He puts on my lead hand. He goes, here you go. And I go, all I heard after that was like Snoopy. I didn't hear anything, right? But basically, I'm down so, whatever. He walks off. He gives me the book, The Cross and the Switchblade. I go, what the fuck is this? I go, wow, it sounds so familiar. Now let me back up. The reason that book, Cross Switchblade, sounds familiar, that white guy on the street that threw a pamphlet at me, let me tell you what happened that day, rest of that day. So we go to dim sum, we eat, we drink, we sit there 2-3 hours. It's our normal thing we do. We go back, I'll take a nap, and we go back, and where we go to is the storefront is a video store. It sells video, back then you rent cassette tapes and stuff like that. In the back we have illegal gambling, which was my casino. Then I live downstairs under there. So we'd go back there, get buzzed into the casino, get buzzed into the back room, hobnobbing, everybody, thanks for coming, blah, blah, blah. While one of my bodyguards stands at the door, entrance to downstairs. The other bodyguard goes downstairs, sweeps it, makes sure no one's down there waiting to kill me. He comes back up, both of them stand at the door, give me the nod, it's clear. I go down there, they both wait for me upstairs. I'm supposed to get changed, get ready to go to the next club or take a nap, whatever I do. And I take my gun out, put it on the nightstand, and I saw that pamphlet there. The same one I crumbled up through at that guy. I go, what the fuck? Man, I'm like shitting in my pants. I'm kidding. I grab my gun. I sweep the floor thinking that white guy's down here. Like, how the hell did this white guy get down here, right? No one was down there. I put the gun down. My heart's coming out of my chest. I open up this cartoon pamphlet. It's called The Cross and Switchblade.
Was it the same crumbled up one?
That's exactly. It was crumbled up. I'm like, what the fuck? Where'd this come from? So I scanned through it.
Is there a chance that your bodyguard picked it up? And
you know what? A long time ago, because I went to Bible college in Dallas called Criswell Bible College. It's a Southern Baptist Bible college. I'm sharing the story with them. And they wanted to write a book. And then they said, well, we can't explain that, so we're not going to write it. What the fuck? You can't explain? Tell me how Jesus walked through a wall. Motherfucker, there's so much in the Bible we can't explain.
Yeah. But
because they couldn't explain that, they didn't want to share. I was like, isn't God's glory, His mercy, His grace more than enough? Yeah, we could default it to that, but I'm not going to lie and say that's what happened. I'm not going to lie and say something else happened. I don't know how that damn thing got on my nightstand, and I crapped in my pants when I saw it. And I think I needed that, because if I could explain it, then I don't need a God.
Yeah.
Personally, my journey, if I could explain how it got there, I wouldn't need a God. I'd be this super science is the only thing. There's no miracles, no Jesus, no God, right?
Yeah.
But that's when I think, when you asked me earlier, did that wake me up? That scared the crap. I still remember this day. It woke me up. It woke me up.
How so?
Well, I'll tell you, because I remember visually right now, vividly. A couple of days after that, maybe a week or two after that, and I'm getting really sloppy. I just look in the mirror and hate myself. I said, I hate you. I hate who you are, who you're becoming. I hate you. And I punched the mirror. I'd punch it, just crack it, blood all everywhere. I'm usually high most of the time at that time. And I said, if there's a God, and I started saying that, if there really is God, if there's anybody bigger than me, I need some help. But I'd only said it in my privacy of looking in the mirror, anger. And I realize now I was just crying out for something greater. I finally got, I'm not God. But you have to really understand, I have passion, compassion for people in that lifestyle, because you come from a different world, and you said, well, didn't that wake you up? Isn't there another option? You didn't think that was a wake-up call? Seeing a guy's head just get blown out literally a feet or two in front of me? Literally in this range.
Yeah.
No, because we didn't know anything else. We didn't even know there was another possibility to consider. And at that time, I was so broken that I wanted to consider another possibility. Listen, and this is going to be very, very descriptive, but this is how I became my own God. At any time, Steve, this is America. This is the world. At any time, when an 18-year-old kid could call on any beautiful, gorgeous prostitute, which he owned most of them, unless they're European or Russian, we had to go hire them. That's how powerful I was. Anytime I literally could tell a guy to go kill another guy, they're dead. Anytime I want a kilo of coke, drugs, and anything my beck and call at that moment, I could have. Why would I need another God? I am God, until you realize you're not. And that's the downward spiral I was in. That's when I finally came out. If there is a God. Because listen, if there was a God, why don't I fucking have a dad? If there's a God, why is my mom working 3 jobs a day? If there's a God, why do I have to go embarrassingly? I didn't think about this now. Embarrassingly, in front of all the other kids, use food stamps or use a lunch ticket punch because you're poor, and everybody knew you were poor. Everybody knew you didn't have a dad. If there was a God, Miss Sharon Murphy, who said that you can be a great CEO, you're a great leader, or charge of organized crime, I don't even know what the fuck she was saying at the time, handing me the art award of the student of the year in art. And everybody came up on stage with their parents. And I was there by myself. When she called my name, I walked out of the room. Because my mom was working. I didn't have a dad. So if there was a fucking God, where was he? That was our conversations. Where the fuck were you when someone beat the shit out of me because I had this Napoleon complex? I woke up, I couldn't see for 3 days. My face was so swollen, I wouldn't go to the hospital. So there's those conversations in our life was, if there's a God, right? But I was such at a bottom pit, and I hated myself. I was downward spiral, this fucking echo in my head. Jesus loves you and I love you was fucking me up, man. That thing was fucking me up. And I just finally looked in the mirror and said, if there's a God, if you're real, I think I need some help. I wouldn't even admit it. I just said, I think I need some help. Because shit wasn't working out the way I planned. All the way up now to my life at that time, everything I wanted, I planned, I made happen. I literally made happen. I, quote, unquote, willed it. You know what I mean? But there was something going on. I couldn't will anything. I couldn't control anything. And so fast forward, now I'm in prison. That guy gives me that book, and I'm flipping through it, and I still remember this one part. This guy, Nicky Cruz.
But the pamphlet was crossing the switchblade. That's where you had heard the book.
Fucking thing. I still see the picture. I see David Wilkerson told Nicky Cruz, Jesus loves you, and Nicky Cruz goes, fuck you, say it one more time, I'll cut you 1,000 pieces. Because back then they had a switchblade, across the switchblade. And I could totally relate. I was like, yeah, motherfucker, cut him up. And later, David Wilkerson says, and each piece will say, I love you. I don't know if that's the story. I haven't read the book since. I just remember that's what I remember. And Nikki Cruz freaked out. I freaked out because I could visually see pieces of your body going, I love you, Jesus. I was like, whoa, that's one crazy acid trip, right? I was like, oh my God, that's crazy. What kind of love is that? I was just questioning, what kind of love is that? That's bullshit. I've never seen love like that. I've never seen anything like that. That man had the biggest balls I've ever seen in my life. David Wilkerson, I've seen some crazy men. I've seen some crazy thing happen. There is a book out in the market right now. This journalist wrote called BTK, Born to Kill. It's about my Vietnamese Mafia. She wrote that book, then I got on the scene. The guy she wrote it about, his name is Amigo. He bought me from the Chinese Mafia. So anything I do, the Vietnamese get money for it, not the Chinese, because I'm half Vietnamese Chinese. I was in that whole stage. I mean, we had to sit down like this. They had to shove a suitcase, $10,000 to buy me, and all this stuff. Then Amigo, a week later, after he buys me, walks to his apartment and someone betrays him, shooting the back of his head. So he could elevate. Yeah. All I'm just trying to tell you, in our world, there was no such love like David Wilkerson said. He was willing to give up his life so this guy, Nikki Cruz, could hear the love of Jesus. I'm like, what the fuck? This is crazy. I don't understand this. This is the craziest thing. The lady gave me the book. I'm reading it, and I'm in prison. And I knew that night, if that guy's not going to kill me, someone else is. I felt in my body, I'm going to die. I get on my knees like a good Catholic boy, and I said, put my hands together. I said, hey, God, if you're real, when I open my eyes, will you sit down right there and let's have a talk? I opened my eye. No, God. I said, fuck, see, I knew you're not real. I knew it. I knew you're not real. It's just a story. It's religion, whatever the fuck. It's not, there's no God. But I was so desperate. I closed my eyes again and said, okay, God, I'm a good guy. I'm going to give you one more chance. I laugh now, but you look back, I was dead serious. I'm like, fuck, out of all the other assholes I hang out with, all the other bosses, I'm a pretty good guy. I was so desperate. I told God, I'm going to give you one more chance. When I open my eyes, please just show up so we can talk. In the Chinese Mafia, we have a thing called sit down. Anything goes wrong, we meet at a restaurant. You bring your 2 bodyguards, I bring mine. We got 10 guys out that door. You got 10 guys out that door. Shit goes wrong, everybody's going to kill each other, right? But we sit down, talk about it first. It's called a sit down. Hey, Steve, this is how you offended me. This is what went wrong. This is what you did. This is what's going to cost you to reciprocate, give my face back, whatever. So we always have a talk, sit down. So I'm used to that. Now I'm telling God, let's have a fucking sit down. He doesn't play by my rules, okay, by the way. He never showed up. Opened my eyes, he wasn't there. My heart just sank. I just never felt such a despair. Like, he was my last chance. This is it. He's the last one. And so I just gave it. I was like, fuck, there is no God. I'm going to die tonight. Then I heard something. Actually, I felt something. I felt like a warm drop of water hit me top of my head. I felt warmth all over my body. I'm like, what the fuck just happened? And I heard something. Why is that wrong? Why is that wrong? And I could see things I did. Why is that wrong? Why is that wrong? I kept on asking myself, why is that wrong? Everybody knows, like, doom, doom, doom. Water just kept on hitting top of my head. And his thoughts of doing this, quote, wrong stuff. Everybody I know does it. Why is that wrong? I just got caught. Why is it wrong? And all of a sudden, I screamed. I said, stop, stop. I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry. You have to understand, you cannot show weakness in the Mafia. When you show weakness, you die. Someone's going to kill you. I heard this, stop. I said, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry. And all of a sudden, I just start crying. And you don't cry in prison. You know what happened? They hear you. We're like animals. Next day, you can cry for some other reason. But I couldn't stop crying. I got off my knees. I thought I was floating. It was crazy. It's like all this weight came off of me. And all I kept on saying, I couldn't stop saying, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry. I just kept on repeating that. I'm repeating that. I lay down my bed and it's a cement slab coming out of the wall on this beat up mattress. I hate laying on it every night. It just reminded me that I was in prison, and this green military utility blanket is dirty and hairy and probably has thousands of other men's pubic hair in it. I'd only bring it up to my waist even though it's super cold. I mean, I crawled all the way up to my neck. Toilet next to me didn't stink. The sink that dripped, couldn't hear it. I literally thought I was floating like on clouds. And I knew if something happened that night, which I convinced I was going to die, that I'd be okay. I didn't even know what that meant. I had no idea. I never had such a peace that I did that night. I had this peace. I had this most amazing peace in my life. I never knew it. And then I just remember, after that long story short, I got out and now I'm talking to God.
And you weren't in very long.
No, that time I was probably in almost 3 weeks. There was 1 week delay because they're supposed to ship me to Rikers Island. And the guys there caused a riot, so I wouldn't go. They had to shut the bridge down for a couple days. But maybe 3 weeks max. I got out and I just started talking to God. I didn't even know who I was talking to. I just talking like, okay, if you're God, and then my Catholic side kicked in. It's like one time I said, oh, am I supposed to get a Bible now? That was the craziest conversation I ever had. Because, we have rules we live by. We have, in the Mafia, we have rules we live. We have these things we live by. And so I figure Christians, if you follow God, you have to follow these things. They're in a Catholic church. They're always reading this thing called the Bible. So maybe I need to get a Bible. And I got to share this one story. I don't know how far along, but we could pick it up after this if you want. But this is one of the last stories I share with you. And you can ask anything because it's so significant. I was like, I need a Bible. But if I ever get caught with a Bible, they're going to kill me because I'm supposed to be Buddhist. That's our cult. Like I betrayed the family, right? But I said, if I don't get a Bible, though, how do I know how to follow God? How do I know what I'm supposed to do? I figured I had instructions, right? Like do this, if you're a Christian, Catholic growing up, we're supposed to not do a lot of things and do these things. So I figured it's going to tell me what to do, right? So I did the techniques I've learned to check off the FBI. I found a bookstore, which why the fuck would I ever go in a bookstore if I knew I'd probably have a Bible in it? So American white bookstore. I'm way out of my comfort zone here. I'm out of Chinatown, uptown, looking at a bookstore, walking the block 3 times that way, back 1 time that way, back 1 time. Nobody's following me. I dive into the bookstore, looking through the magazine section, looking around, religion. I saw a section that says religious section, whatever. I make my way over there, make sure no one's in there following me. And I see this section for the Bible. I was like, holy shit, I'm in trouble. There were so many Bibles, I didn't know which one to pick. Because you can't be wrong, dude. I don't want to pick the wrong Bible. Dude, this is serious shit. I could die for this, right? And I'm looking at all these different Bible, and I was like, oh my God, which one? I can't ask anybody because I asked somebody, what if, I'm asking somebody and they narc me out, or just all these conversations in my head. And I saw one that says, Good News Bible. I go, that's the one I need. I need good news. Here's the funny part. You ready? It was hardback. It was a hardback Bible. I didn't think much of it at the time, but watch what happens. I'm looking left and right. I sneak my way up to the counter, pay for it in cash. She wants to give me back. God, no, I don't need bag. I don't need receipt. I don't need no fucking evidence that I have this Bible. I take it, I shove it in my back, behind my jacket, right next to my gun. And it cuts me as it goes in because its corner sharp, it's hardback. I'm like, shit, there's not another one. It's not hardback. And I look back now, I think, had the Bible in my back and had a gun right next to it. And that, man, all the shit happened after that was crazy. I tell you 10, 20 stories where God saved my life where I should have been dead. But it was just just knowing I needed guidance. I needed instructions. I wasn't the man anymore. That shifted my whole life.
So why'd you get out after only 3 weeks? You were facing 60 to life.
Yeah. Well, what happened was 2 things. First, my godfather and them, which I didn't actually get to talk to them directly, talk to my uncles. They said, listen, they're teaching me play by play what's going to happen. Now everybody's going to give you a deal, sign the papers, we'll pick you up, and we'll hide you. This is like a long hide, because you have to understand every decision we make is based off of money. That's why I told you I learned how to do business really well. Every decision we make is based off money. They know I can make money for them. Mm-hmm. They know I'm crazy. They know I know the business things they taught us. They know. So they can move me to a different country, which was Vancouver, up in that area. And then they can move me back to Hong Kong. They move me anywhere. The reputation I had, the way I know how to make money, they can still use me. I told you earlier that I'm like a box of tissue or Kleenex. They said, listen, everybody's going to get you signed papers. You sign it. They're going to throw you off on the streets. We'll pick you up. And then they're going to meet with you once a week. We'll tell you exactly what to tell them, all that. And I just want to get out. I was scared shitless. I was going to die. I didn't realize at the time they were already playing me, the Mafia. Then I get out the FBI played me for a couple weeks and months. And long story short, they finally got my godfather. They deported him for tax stuff. So FBI threw me away. Like, done. We don't need you. I was like, what the fuck? That was just the weirdest thing. I'm just like, one day they're talking to me, next day, done. Like Chinese Mafia goes, they should have let you go by now because they got our godfather for whatever reason. We were going dormant now. Get your grab bag, go, and we'll reconvene in a couple of months, and you'll know. I go, what the fuck does that mean? Mm-hmm. Literally, everything, it's like the business shuts down. Everybody goes into hiding. Once I got the godfather, everybody goes into hiding because now they're going to come after everybody else because they know someone is going to try to rise up first. So we get our quote-unquote grab bag, our stash, and we're on your own. There's no more communication. Done. You're on your own.
Where'd you go?
I went back to Dallas, Texas. I said, if I was a fugitive.
Where you were still wanted?
Yeah, I was a fugitive. And I said, listen, you can never sleep. You hear noises all the time. FBI is after you, or another mafia is trying to kill you, or your own guys are trying to kill you. I mean, it's the worst lifestyle. I never slept, never had peace, always drugged out. And I said, hey, if I found Jesus in prison, I'm going to grow with him there. And I knew I was wanted. So I went back to my lawyer who was with me the very first arrest. Mm-hmm. And so he knows me. He has all my records. And he goes, say that again? Hold on. I'm going to get my business partner. And you're going to tell both of us. I go, okay. So I told him, he got his partner. And I go, listen, I found Jesus in prison. And if I found him there, I'll grow with him there. I'm a Christian now and all that. And they both laughed in front of my face. I'm like, what the fuck? What are you guys laughing for? They go, don't you know everybody finds Jesus in prison? I go, they do? I go, no way. Some of these guys are assholes. I'm like, no way those guys know Christ, right? And they go, I learned later, they were saying, they say that as a story to get good favor. But I'm like, no, I'm fucking sincere. And they go, okay, off the record. You've been gone for like 3 years. There's statute of limitation, what they get you for, I think 2 more years, and they're not going to look for you anymore. So basically they said, run for 2 more years. Why would you turn yourself in? You're going to do some serious time. I go, listen, if I found Jesus in prison, I'll grow with him in there. And they said, all right, we'll set the court date. Shit. Remember, I'm freaking little 20-year-old, 21-year-old kid by that time. I don't know shit. I don't know anything about the law. I don't know anything about statute of limitation. I just knew I can't do another day of running. Why would I run anymore? I had this peace I never understood. I believe in a God that created this universe now. And even though as fucked up in my life is, at least I had some direction and understanding that, at least I have someone to lean on. It's not all about me making shit happen. And so set up the date. We always do. Everybody has basically a funeral for me if we leave, get high, drunk, party, womanize. Next day, because they're never going to see me again. Next day I go off. And I remember I could take a book or something. So I take the Bible with me, show up to court. And the guy goes, I was the first guy there that day. And I go into court and the judge goes, okay, so you so-and-so, this and that. Yep, hits the hammer, sets an arraignment date for me now to go into prison. So I go into the prison. The people from prison are coming out into court on the other side of the room. I go into this cell room. I'm the first guy there. And I go run. I look for the toilet paper first because that's money in prison. So I get toilet paper, use a pillow, warm, wipe your butt, all kinds of good stuff. If I get all the toilet paper, I'm laying there. I'm like, and I hear the guys come in, getting ready to go to court. And they're all, man, it was like New Year's. And I heard them going, motherfucker, some bitch, this and this, that, kill some bitch. I was like, whoa, it is violent, right? I mean, first in my life, I thought prison was violent. Before, that's how we live. But it was new. And I was like, oh, God, this is going to get violent. And I know I'm going to have to kill someone to live or they're going to kill me. Just how it is in there. I go, I don't want to kill anybody. And I go, God, you're going to have to help me because it is crazy in here. First time in my life I ever thought it was crazy in here. Man, I'm a repeat offender. I know this shit. I know the process. I know what to do. I know all that. But it was something different. I heard everything new ears. I said, God, you need to help me because I don't want to have to kill anybody and all that. And all of a sudden, the correction officer, CEO comes up and goes, hey, Mr. Ching Chong Chu. I was like, oh, fuck, he's going to be the first one I'm going to kill. It's that racist button that was triggering me. And he goes, judge wants to see. I'm like, oh, shit, he found out about New York. Me and my lawyer is like, man, if he doesn't find out New York, you're fine. But you find out about New York, you'll never see daylight again, right? And I was like, oh, my God, he found out about New York. The CEO pulls me out, takes me in front of the judge. The judge goes, hey, I got a letter here from District Attorney Marianne Wong. I was like, oh shit, he found out about New York. She's the one that prosecuted me. And she basically, I don't even know how she knew all this shit. I mean, obviously they know everything, but I didn't know. And she sent him a letter saying, hey, look, I have no jurisdiction, but I just want to tell you the transformation I saw on this guy. He's a part of the most notorious mafia. Has exact number of murders I was a part of. All this shit. And he says, but there's some kind of change in his heart or something. I was like, what? And he's reading it word for word. And if you have any leniency, that's all I request, blah, 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 like that. And the judge goes, hey, do you have family here? I go, yes, sir. He goes, would you go back to school? I go, yes. Like, what kind of questions are these? And he kept telling him, I go, yes, 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 yes. He goes, all right, I'm going to give you parole, da, 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 da. And he hits the mallet. And I just stood there. He goes, son, you got to go over there and talk to that lady. I was waiting for a CO to come grab me and put me back in prison, right?
Yeah.
He just released me. I walk over there and she asked me to sign this and that. You had to go to your parole officer by this date and this time and all that. I go, okay. I just stood there. She goes, you're free to go. I go, where? I did not know what fucking was happening. Everything happened so fast, at least in my little brain at that time. And I called my buddy, but I didn't have any money. I'm going in, right? And I remember at that time, I think it was 35 cents, maybe it was. Yeah, it was 35 cents. And here's the humility part. This is the new me, the one that had to die. And my pride before would never fucking done this. I had to go look at a white guy in a suit. Same guy coming down the street, right? The symbolism. And ask him for 35 cents. The kid who had to go take food stamps and the food card to eat lunch and stuff. And man, everything in me had to humble myself. I was like, I'm not going to do that. But if I don't, how the hell am I going to get out here? And I need to leave this place before they realize they made a mistake. You know? So I asked this guy to have 35 cents to make a phone call. And he gave me money. I called my buddy. He was like, stop fucking around. I go, dude, did I call you collect? He goes, no. I go, I'm out. And he was like, oh shit. So he drove down from Grand Prairie, downtown Dallas, picked me up. I said, dude, please tell me you got some money. He goes, yeah, we hitting at McDonald's. I ate like a king at McDonald's. I was like, free food. Went back, started a new life. But my new life was not selling drugs or guns. I did dishes because that's all I thought it was worth. I went to wait table. I did dishes at restaurants and stuff. Then I waited tables and I became a bartender, lead bartender. Then I went to a management program to be a restaurant manager and changed my whole life. And here's the funniest part. You know what changed my life, Steve? I went to bed at night. I woke up in the morning in sunlight. Mm-hmm. No shitting you. That is the first step changed my whole life. Mm. When you go to bed at night, you don't do dumb shit at night because you're looking for dumb shit to do because there's nothing to do. And you don't hang out with the people who do dumb shit. When you wake up in the morning when sunlight comes out, you have the rest of the day to do productive, real shit. You know what I mean? I was like, wow, I didn't realize how simple that one adjustment, first step I needed was.
Really?
That changed everything for me. You can't hang out with the same friends. And I moved from Grand Prairie, Arlington area. I moved to downtown Dallas, White Rock Lake, around that area, working at Chili's. I lived in an apartment, all Mexicans who couldn't speak English, immigrant, hardworking family people. And I had one mattress in my apartment. I slept outside in my front patio in a hammock because I didn't want to be inside. Mm. That's all I owned. A mattress and a hammock. Worked every day as much as I could all day long. It was crazy. Changed my whole lifestyle. So that's pretty much it.
So that's not pretty much it. That's not pretty much it. So where'd you go after Dallas?
Well,
because
I was in Dallas. I was doing real good. Seriously, I asked my ex-girlfriend to help co-sign for that apartment. And I got in that apartment. I worked hard. I was still drinking like a fish, restaurant industry and all that. But I wasn't doing more drugs. I wasn't selling drugs. Very tempted because freaking every night you look at your tips and your pay. You're like, you're not really making much. I was like, oh my God, this normal life is hard. But I was committed to it because I knew there was a difference in me. I was talking to God every day. You know, I actually had it was almost like a father-son relationship now. I'm starting to talk to him like if I had a dad, how I would talk to him. And also I got this phone call from this FBI agent, Bill Oldham, who was the FBI agent who arrested me. I go, how did you find me? He goes, you have to understand his personality. He goes, I'm fucking FBI. I was like, oh shit, sorry, that's right. And he goes, listen, you got to leave now. I go, what do you mean? They found you.
Who found you?
The Mafia, because I never checked back in. I went and turned myself. I never checked back in, right? So if I didn't check back in, was I the one turning our uncle? Did all kinds of shit, or our godfather and all this? They said they found you and they're going to kill you. There's 2 guys on the plane right now going to Dallas. I go, from New York, I go, nope, not going to do it. I'm turning over a new leaf. I'm a good guy now. I still remember telling him I'm a good guy now. He goes, what the fuck? He goes, I'm good. If I leave, I'm going to break this lease. My ex-girlfriend co-signed it. I'm not going to ruin her credit. I'm doing really good at the restaurant. You know, it was kind of humbling for me to say that, even though I went up from, you know, waiter to training waiters to bartender and all that, and head bartender. I thought, you know, I'm doing good. I'm climbing the corporate ladder. I'm about to get into management training, all this good stuff. So long story short, he goes, fuck you. You're going to die. He goes, you need to leave now. I go, nope, can't do that. And he goes, yes, listen, I'm faxing a letter right now to the owners or the apartment manager. Tell them this is FBI case. They won't get your ex-girlfriend, you know, lose her credit and all that, and they'll release you. Oh, you would do that? He goes, listen, either you do that or you're going to die. He literally did, like, instantly. He wired his own personal money to me, bought me a plane ticket to, ready? Aurora, Colorado. I never fucking heard of Aurora, Colorado my whole life. My stepdad was out here. And I go, and he's been wanting me to come visit him, stay with him, all that. And I was like, well, shit, if I'm Aurora, Colorado, you know, like, I've never heard of it. I guarantee no Chinese mafia has heard of Aurora, Colorado. We don't know what the fuck that is. You know what I mean? There's no Chinatown, no nothing there. You know, there's no income stream for us, right? So I went to Aurora, Colorado. Like within 48 hours, I was in Aurora, Colorado. It was the craziest shit in my life. Craziest thing ever happened. And I showed up my stepdad's door, and the Dallas probation offices made a deal with Aurora because of the life-threatening thing. Aurora never had a case big as me. They literally had the schematics of my apartment, and then they would come in like 2 o'clock in the morning with a team to make sure I don't have drugs or guns. I'd get a knock on the door, and there's like 8 guys with guns on the windows, outside of me, everything. And they'd search the whole place.
Regularly? Regularly?
They did it regularly, and they stopped doing it regularly, and they just had the PO come.
Yeah.
Then the PO would come with 1 or 2 people, then the PO would come just by herself. It was crazy. I'm like, what the fuck? I'm different. See, my world was different. I don't understand. I didn't know that they saw this shit all the time. And everybody lasts a week or 2 and they get locked up. Well, I should know. I've been locked up 5 times. I understood it. But I was sincere that I'm following God now. I'm turning over a new leaf and all that. And they're like, yeah, we heard this shit all the time. I'm like, okay, go ahead, search. And my stepdad was like, what the fuck is going on? He never knew all the shit I got into, right? So he didn't understand why these people are raiding our apartment, basically, right? So one time at night, I goes, hey, God, aren't Christians supposed to go to church or something? All right, thanks, man. That's how I used to pray to God. I'm smoking 2 packs of Marlboro Reds a day, drinking at least minimum 6-pack a night after work, or because I was doing some construction work, and didn't do construction work that time. I was doing retail work, and I was at the Rural Mall, and that night before, I just asked God, don't we go to church as Christians or something? All right, thanks. This kid walks in. I'm like, silent. Kid's white. Got dad's credit card guarantee. I'm going to get some commission off this guy. I've got him all different sets of clothes. He's coming in and out. And I swore it's going to be the biggest commission check I ever got. And at the end, he goes, all right, now I don't think I want any of this. Motherfucker, you just wasted 45 minutes of my life, right? And I was like, you're going to die, kid. And he goes, walks out, and he turns around and goes, hey, by the way, you want to go to church with me? I go, what? I was like, what just happened here? I thought I was going to hit this kid up for all this money, commission. He gets his dad's credit card, and he invites me to church. And I remembered last night I asked God if I'd go to church. I said, yeah. So he invites me to church. I show up for a Wednesday. Maybe that was a Monday, but I show up on Wednesday. His church invites me Wednesday night. And I'm driving up there, and my car is full of smoke because I'm like nervous. Like, I'm not good enough to go to church. I'm a bad person. All these thoughts go in my head. And then I can't fucking find the place. I'm so angry. I'm looking for a building with a steeple and a church, maybe a bell or something, whatever my stereotype of church was. And I couldn't find it. So now I'm like 30, 45 minutes late, and I pull up, and it was in the middle of an apartment complex. I was like, And remember back when we had Thomas guys, so he had to print that shit out. I was like, something's wrong with this printer. They gave me the wrong address. It was a community center in the middle of an apartment complex. Woodside Baptist Church. Was it Woodside Baptist Church? It's a small little Southern Baptist church. And they're in a community center. I was like, what? How's this a church? I was like, oh shit, they better have snakes. Because you see on 2020 where they're wandering around snakes and stuff like that. Because they're not in a regular church building, right?
Yeah.
Of course they're going to have snakes. That's only my context of Christianity. And I pull up, and I know I'm about 30 minutes late already. But I'm like, no, I can't go in. I'm a bad person. I don't belong there. They're going to throw holy water on me. I'll burn or something like that. I'm just making all this crazy stuff in my head. Smoking like choo-choo train. Had the windows down. I guarantee it's like Cheech and Chong smoke coming out of the car. It was just going crazy. I just said, fuck it. So I don't know. I just build up the courage. I open the door, get out, slam the door. I don't know where to go. I don't know. I'm demonizing this guy. I'm victimizing this guy like his fault for blaming me. He's not even here and I don't know where to go. And so I'm just blaming. And I walk up to the door from the parking lot. That kid's standing in front of the door waiting for me. I go, what the fuck is going on? At least 30 minutes, minimum at 30, 45 minutes. And I go, what are you doing? He goes, you told me you were coming, so I was waiting for you. I was like, oh my God, right there. My heart sank. That was another form of love that I didn't understand. We never waited on each other. Like, fuck you, we'll leave you, all kinds of stuff. That kid, I don't know how God used him, what he was doing. But he goes, I was waiting for you. I was like, that was just weird. I just didn't understand, quote, unquote, that love. And so he takes me in. It was kind of scary because, now listen, guys, you remember the background I come from. There's no one in the whole church or whatever. He takes me downstairs. I'm not used to basement. I'm from Texas. Fucking Colorado has basement. I was like, are you going to take me down and shoot me? What the fuck? I thought, like, seriously, the FBI got this kid to kill me. Not FBI, the Mafia. And he takes me down this basement, and we walk through this room's open, small room like this, maybe 4 or 6 people in there, the teacher or whatever. And he goes, all right, this is your room. I go, what do you fucking mean this is my room? And remember back then I was still cussing like a sailor. And he's like, I'm in high school. You're in college or college age or whatever. This is college. And I was like, oh, you're coming in with me? I was like, no, you're not leaving me. You're the only person I know. And I got in. I don't know if this is a first conversation. I know I just kept coming back. But I remember one conversation that haunted me. Like I could not sleep. It haunted me. And the teacher is teaching like God wants one woman to have one man. Oh, that's funny. You're fucking joking, right? And the guy was a red hair, pale skin. You think of freckles. And he's never met anybody like me. He told you he grew up in the church. And he's like, Sebastian, first, easy on the cussing. He goes, no, God wants you to have one man to have one woman. I go, what? I mean, it's like someone took a sledgehammer, hit me inside the head. My mom had at least 5 men, quote unquote, married. Never knew my biological dad. Multiple men at the house, never been married with. None of my friends had parents that were married, still all divorced. Mm-hmm. Multiple guys I knew had multiple women. Then I was a mafia boss, had the whorehouse. We were never allowed to have a woman. You can never have one woman. You can never get married because it could cause war. If she wanted something from me I didn't want to give to her, she'd flirt with you because she knows you're my enemy and like, oh, now we're in war. You know what I mean? So that whole paradigm, one woman, one man was like a sledgehammer hit across the head, but something my body longed for. Like, this is true. This is like good shit. This is like, it was meant to be, right? Because I had some heartbreaks in high school and shit like that, right? But then I just remember I could never sleep. I just kept on thinking, is that true? Where does it say in the Bible? Who says it's true? What? And now I'm questioning everything because I figured that such a fairy tale out there is not real. I know it's not achievable. You know what I mean? And that was I still remember that's the very first Bible study, quote unquote, that just hit me upside the head sideways so hard. It was just so foreign, like a foreign language. It was awesome. It was awesome because that's when I would literally come home. Well, the one of the guys at church gave me a job doing construction. He was a construction guy. And Aurora, listen, winter, freaking wearing shorts during snow. I'm the guy woke up 3 o'clock in the morning, got into parking lots at 4, drove around and make sure all the snow's pushed off. So when customers come, we in construction, I've never seen a basement in my life. Motherfucker, they're building these houses with frames and we had to take the trash and throw it up above so we could get the trash from there. And we're all wearing shorts and t-shirts and snow was on the ground. I'm like, this is craziest place in the world. You know what I mean? And now I know why no Asians are in Colorado. There's fucking snow. We don't have snow in Vietnam. You know what I mean? It's like crazy. But I worked for the construction company, and then I would come home, and I couldn't leave before, I think it was like 5 a.m. I had to be home by 7 because of my parole. And I would drink at least a 6-pack of beer, smoke a couple packs of cigarettes while studying the Bible. But here's the coolest part. I'd light up a cigarette, I'd start smoking it, and I had a Bible dictionary, and a regular dictionary. And I look up all these words, and the cigarette, every time I lit it just burned itself out. I'd light another one, take a couple, and I realized I stopped smoking. It was the craziest thing, you know? Instead of drinking 6, 7, 8 beers a night, I drink like 1 or 2. And it's just more I studied the Bible, more everything declined. And it's not because I said, oh, smoking is bad, drinking is bad. I just found something better that would consume my time. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
I still remember that was like, because I've tried to quit smoking several times from my mom, who I love dearly. I mean, she's my hero, my idol, my gift from God. Because she said, no, she's going to kill you. It's not good for you. I could never quit for her. Never. Maybe for a day or half an hour when she's not around or whatever.
Yeah.
But I couldn't do it. And I remember I quit that time because, not because I thought it was bad or anything. I just found something better. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So where'd you go from Aurora?
Oh, man, I totally forgot about that. So I was in Aurora, and they teach me this thing called the Romans Road. I don't know what the Romans Road anymore, 5, 7 steps to Jesus, whatever. I was like, are you fucking kidding me? There is a road to Jesus? And you can memorize it, and you can tell people, you know? And I said, awesome. I memorized it. I asked parole, let me go back to Dallas. Dallas said, fuck you, we're not going to take you. It was hard enough for us to get rid of you. It was so funny. So that was the only prolonged part. I finally got them let me go because I told them I wanted to go back and tell my friends and family about Jesus before they die. I think that's what helped it. So I literally got back to go back to Dallas. I went the first time I got back. My family's like, oh, so excited and all that. And the next day I go to the Lion's Den. That is the club that we had. We get the corner table. We do karaoke, sing songs, get drunk, do drugs, and do business there. And I walked in, and everybody looked like they saw a ghost because they know either I died or I became a monk or priest, because that's the only two religions we know, monk or priest. And so they heard I got religious. They thought I became a priest or a monk or I died. That was the rumor going on. So I walked in, everybody's like, what the fuck? You're alive, right? And the guy in charge used to be my right-hand man. And I looked at him instantly. I said, listen, boss, I am not here to take over. You are the boss, blah, blah. I'm here to tell you guys how I changed. I became a Christian. I want to tell you about the love of Jesus. Like, yeah, come sit down. Tell the other guys move. The other guys move. Snaps his fingers. Call the girls. Girls come sit my lap. Listen, I changed. I'm not like that. Well, she could stay. I was still a man, and she was gorgeous. And I was trying to tell them about Jesus. They're laughing me in my face. They're like, this is so fucking weird. They couldn't hear me. It's like I was speaking another language. Like we went to the pool hall afterwards. I went to take a piss. Other guy comes in. And he's looking left and right. I was like, what the fuck? It's like, this is our pool hall. You don't have to be scared, right? But I didn't realize what he was doing. He's looking around making sure none of our guys are in there. He goes, hey, dude, did you really get out? I want to get out. I was like, what the fuck, really? I was like, what's the Roman road again? Jesus is the way. I'm thinking all this stuff in my head. I'm trying to tell him as we're taking a piss. And this other guy walks in and he starts talking weird shit and like, fuck you and this and that, just small talk. I was like, what just happened? And I didn't realize until later on that if we showed weakness, we died. And that was always our theme. Once you show weakness, you die. And that's how I had become a Christian, first of all. Show weakness, I would die. But none of them were ready to show weakness in front of everybody else. So I couldn't, quote, quote, evangelize to them in a group. It was always, I had to talk to them one-on-one. But then I stayed back in Dallas. And that's when I started, went to my second church and stuff like that. I started growing in my faith, hung around a whole different group of people and things. Then I was going to like 5 Bible studies a week. Every night I was volunteering at the youth, which I was learning more than I was giving. Singles, men, community. My pastor, Irving Bible Church, goes, Pastor Matthew McQuitty, I think his name was. He goes, hey, before you die, I heard you're going like 5 Bible studies a week. I go, yeah. Man, I can't get enough. Is there more? He's like, whoa. Why don't you just go to Bible college? And listen, this is how we're always tell us, go, get the fuck out of here. There's a Bible college. He goes, yeah, we're going to have to work on that. I still remember he was like, he loved me, but he was like, always telling the youth pastor, dude, we got to take off the edge. I took some kids. I didn't know it was wrong or quote, unquote bad or whatever. The movie The Crow came out back then. Yeah. I took them. They're all come back. Yeah.
I love The Crow.
The best leader, youth leader they had to pull me. It's like, yeah, we don't really want to take them. I didn't know stuff like that back then, right? But then, long story short, him and a business guy at the church, the pastor and all of them, gave me a job working there so it wouldn't be free. And they scholarshiped me to Bible college. And I still remember going to Bible college. And they're like, so what are you here for? What are you going to do? I go, I'm here to learn the Bible. It's a Bible college, right? Because I didn't even know there was such a college that teaches you the Bible. They go, no. At the end, are you going to be a pastor, youth pastor, professor? I go, I don't know. I'm just here to learn the Bible. I go, you can become a pastor? They get paid? They get money? I didn't even know pastors got paid. I was like, what the fuck? This is crazy. Whole new world. Crazy world. Well, I got to tell you one story about Bible college because, so they teach you how to do evangelism and teach you about, people getting saved, coming to Jesus. They just got to know they got to repent of their sins, all this stuff, right? Oh, why the fuck we in here? Why aren't we going to tell people? So in between classes, like I've had like 2-hour break or something, just downtown right by Baylor Medical Center, right across the street from DTS, I'd walk out. I'm on the streets because someone handed me a pamphlet. I got tracts in my back pocket, baby. I'm handing people crossing the street, going to Baylor Medical Center. I'm asking people need prayer and stuff. People are spitting at me, yelling at me, cussing at me, telling you out here. And I'm having the greatest time of my life, right? What do they call him? The dean or the president of school would look out his window. He's like, what's this kid doing? So he called me. I'm like, oh shit, I'm in trouble again. I used to get in so much trouble because I do I'm smoking at the school. You're not supposed to smoke, all kinds of crazy stuff. And I just do random stuff that I just do as a human being, right? I didn't know these rules. And so I thought, oh man, I'm in trouble again. And they go, no, you're not in trouble. What are you doing out there? Oh, I'm telling people about the love of Jesus. And I'm giving them a tract. My phone number's on the back. Why, is there a better way to do it? Should I be doing something different? He goes, no. Hey, would you take some of our students and teach them to do what you're doing? I go, heck yeah. He goes, we'll give you a scholarship. I'll take that too, but I don't know what that is. They give me a scholarship for school. Then I take people to Deep Elm with me on Friday nights. I take them Deep Elm. We'll walk around. And it was so easy. These people are lining up for a concert or something. They're staying in 30, 45 minutes in line, sometimes an hour. They're not going anywhere. So I'm going up and down the line. Some people will receive prayer, take the card. Most of them cuss at me, yelled at me. And then when we actually go inside some of the clubs that had no cover charge, we'd talk to people, just get pissed, throw beer at us, or then the security guard kick us out. I got stories after stories about that. But then they gave me a scholarship for doing that. I was like, wow, this school thing's easy. I was just living out what they were teaching me.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was really cool. That was one of the best seasons of my life. I mean, it was the best. I seen this kid, and I could hear God literally tell me, that guy. So I'd just walk up to him, not intimidating anymore. I had a big white man syndrome. I hate white people, afraid of them, feel insecure, insignificant. But I walked up with this kid. He fucking looked like his God's gift. He was like Thor, just a God from heaven, right? I look at him like, what the fuck am I going to tell this guy? He doesn't need Jesus. He gets everything. I said, hey man, this can sound crazy, but God put in my heart to come tell you that he loves you. And if you need prayer, I'll pray for you right now. He falls on his knees in front of me. I always went with my buddy, Sammy Lopez. And he falls on his knee right in front of me. He's crying. He goes, why did you say that? Why would you say that? I told you, God just put on my heart. I don't know who you are. He goes, you don't know who I am? I go, no. He goes, I'm from California. I'm famous. I'm this, that. I don't know. I'm all like, I don't know. I'm almost apologetic for telling him this. He's crying. He said, please pray for me. And then God just put in my heart, because I used to just take stray dogs home every night from there. I said, no, look, you don't have to go. You're going to catch AIDS, or you're going to get some disease. Don't do that. Don't go drink. Don't go do drugs. Come back with me. Come back to my apartment, right? He goes, no, I can't. I'm not worth it. This, that. He goes, just pray for me. I mean, I just remember that night I walked out. I was like, what the fuck just happened? And it just, more I listened to my intuition, what God put in my heart, the more crazy stuff like that would happen. It was the craziest thing. I literally feel God leading me to do certain things, because I know, because I wouldn't fucking do it. One time my friend Jay Bartlett, he's a crazy bastard. They'd have a band on live stage. As soon as they took a break, all right, we'll be back 15 minutes. Jay would run up on stage, grab it. Hello, everybody, my name's Jay Bartlett. I'm a disciple of Jesus Christ. I'm here to... Bottles start flying at him. Oh, motherfucker. I was like, dude, don't ask me to do that, God. That's crazy, man. I've seen that guy kicked out so many freaking clubs and bars. It was crazy. But that was a cool season of my life. It was a really cool season. I got to really understand the love of God. And what I really love about Criswell College, they never told us what to believe. They only told us, read this. Here's what historically said. Here's what other people say. Here's what say. Now it's between you and God. And he just gave us all this shit to go sift through. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But I always wanted them to tell us because I didn't want to be wrong. You know what I mean? I didn't want the responsibility of having my own faith at that time. Looking back, I understand that because I was so young. I was so young in the faith. I would just want, tell me this, what to believe. And I just love my professors. They never told me. They never told me what to believe. And I look back and I was like, man, that's some solid stuff. Good education I got. That's some good stuff. Yeah, that's a lot of potholes in between, but for time's sake, that's the journey.
So what about after that?
After Criswell?
Yeah.
I went and volunteered at this thing called World Impact for a summer. I didn't even know what that was. It was so weird. We're in chapel. This guy comes and speaks. His name is Keith Phillips, talking about the urban intersection. I go, shit, you're talking about me. That's how I grew up, right? And he says, we go there and tell him about love of Jesus and stuff. I go, hell yeah. Afterwards, come sign up. And I remember this guy, he's from Dallas. He was on the board. Damn it, what's his name now? Anyways, he signs me up and I go, all right, Simon, what do we do? He goes, well, this summer you could go out there and serve for 3 months. What do we do out there? Well, we do Bible clubs, this and that. I go, whoa, I don't even know what all that means, but sounds like a deal. Let's do it, right? And California's kind of sexy lure from being Dallas, you know, and hearing all the movies and stuff. I said, yeah, do it. He goes, well, you have to raise like X amount of money. I'm like, oh, shoot. You know, I was like, now I'm controlling my language a little bit better. Oh, shoot. Maybe he'll forget about me. I just kind of walked off and I get these letters and saying, we have to raise support. I go, I don't even know what that means. I was so embarrassed to ask people for money. I'm really grateful they're paying for my college. They give me a job so I can live off it while I'm going to college and all this. And I didn't know what that means. And my community at that time was asking me, you know, what are you doing? What are you going to do? And all this stuff this summer and all that. You know, I was Bible college and I was telling them, like, oh yeah, here's check $100 here. Yeah. This. I was like, why you guys give me money? Well, you have to raise support, don't you? I go, is that what it's called? So I've learned all that. Shipped me to Fresno, California, Armpit, California for 3 months. And I never saw the reality of God. Now listen, you're from Dallas, Russ. You know this. This is 90s, mid-90s, maybe. No, we got married in 96. Yeah, mid-90s, 93, 94 probably. I go there to I don't know, Fresno, California. I don't know what the temperature is, like 120 all the time there. It's crazy. I have white polo shirts, starched. This is Texas, right? Khaki pants. Everybody's looking at me like, you gonna be dressing like that? How was you supposed to dress? Like a week later, I'm like, I'm digging through our donation bin, getting clothes. It was hot as heck, wearing shorts and t-shirts, but they'll never forget that story. Every day I'm wearing starch, white polo shirts, khaki pants, and they're like, who the heck? And I'm in the inner cities. I mean, the worst part of Fresno, California, where bulldogs with the gangs there fighting Crips and all that stuff. It was stupid, but I remember that I saw the practicality, the reality of the love of Jesus. And so I come back. It was best summer ever. I'm about to graduate Criswell College, Bible College, get my associates there. Oh, before I went there, I went to get my GED, and I was a youth leader at the Irvine Bible Church, and I had to go to take your GED test, and I go to take it, and I'm so like embarrassed. All these high school kids there and all that, and I go in there take it, and the other kids are there at the same Saturday take SAT test, and I know. Also, one of my students saw me there. He goes, "Hey, Smash, what are you doing here?" I go, oh, you know, it was such a humbling moment. But I got my GD, about to get my AA. And as things are culminating, part of me is historic still. And I said, well, you know, if I'm going to have a new future, I got to close all my tight ends. I got to clean up my loose ends and tight ends. And I had so much anger and resentment with my stepdad because he never came visit me in prison. He never explained to me what happened with those kids, why they made fun of me. And in hindsight, I was wishing he would have told me, hey, they were making fun of you because they're insecure and jealous. Because They weren't pointing out what's wrong with you. They're pointing out what everything's uniquely different about you that they don't have. And they were just insecure and scared about. That to me is called leadership. And he didn't give me any of that. And so there's a Bible study one night. It's a singles Bible study. And one of my best friend was there. And they're like, okay, so what everybody's doing this week and all that. And I told them, I'm going up to Hayes, Kansas to see my stepdad. They're like, oh my gosh, Sebastian, you're going to reconcile with him? I go, kind of. And they go, what are you going to do? Well, I invited him to the lake and we're going to go fishing because that's all he always wanted to do. And I hated fishing all that because that's always what he wanted to do and all that. But as we're going to go fishing, I'm going to kill him and drop him bottom of the lake. They go, what? They're like, are you joking? What are you talking about? No, seriously. He's like the last string in my life that I need to have a closure and all that. They go, my friend looked at me, and I don't think I've ever heard this guy cuss. He goes, you're not going to get any fucking closure. I was like, he's a good Christian guy. I've never heard him cuss. He's like yelling at me like, no, you're not. He's like, you are not going to go kill your dad. And he just went off. And I was like, dude, I never seen you like this. Carl, I said, calm down, man. And he was like losing his shit. Like, he could not believe I was going to do that. And he explains to me that, no, God wants you to forgive him, not kill him. And so it was a crazy weekend. And he made me stay the weekend with him. So that whole season of my life was seeing the practicality of the love of Jesus. See, we can always tell people, don't do something where Jesus loves you. I still remember I had an argument at school and with the other Christians and church, everybody, about abortion and stuff like that. And I said, why are you guys so hard on these people who have abortion? You don't know what they're going through, all that. I go, if you really want to help them, why don't you let them live with you and take care of the child with them? Help them get on their feet. And everybody's like, are you fucking crazy? They're like, who are you? But that season, even having those thoughts where I learned the pragmatic love of Jesus. I mean, because for Carl making me stay with him that whole weekend and just constantly having conversation, transformed and renewing my mind of what love looks like and forgiveness. Man, honestly, I probably killed my dad by now, because he didn't just say, I'll pray for you. Oh, I fucking hate when people say, I'll pray for you. Fuck you, liar. First of all, you're not going to pray because you don't know what to do. It's not really your fault. We just have a shitty culture. But no, he said, no, you're going to stay with me. I'm not going to keep you out of my sight. I was like, what? This is crazy. Come on. But I remember that whole weekend spent with him helped me really see how to forgive and how to love. And it took me, Don and I have been married in 96, probably 10, 15 years after getting married for me really forgive him and let it all go. But he was on that catalyst that started that journey. Yeah. So yeah, I had some crazy in-between stories. Yeah.
So where'd you go after you were done with college?
I went to California. Started my first church because of Dr. Keith Phillips' book, Dare to Make a Disciple. And I went, my wife's family has 7 pastors, Vietnamese churches in it, 6 or 7. And one of them said, hey, will you start a church with English-speaking youth? I was like, wow, this is called a church plant. I just graduated. I get to go to do a church plant and all that. So I went out there to teach them God's word in English versus Vietnamese so they could understand it. And the rest of this history was out there for 25 years, planted 1, 2, 3 churches, 4 churches after that. They were like business to me, starting 4 businesses, startups. Yep, that's when California became my home, 25 years later.
How'd you get out of ministry?
Wanting to make disciples, literally. So every year I took 12 guys. Remember, I'm very naive. I don't know shit. I'm not doing the normal. I was just doing whatever the Bible says, what I thought was right. And I take 12 guys a year and disciple them and go deep in the word with them, teach them how to read the Bible, teach them how to do, we went through the whole book, Experiencing God, and the workbook, and like they had to teach someone else. So it was a whole year process. And then, one of the guys was single, businessman. I didn't know how successful he was because I didn't really give a shit. He was just having a lot of mom problem. So I helped him through all. He goes, what you're teaching me, you need to teach other businessmen. I go, okay, you get them and I'll teach them, right? And he goes, no, we need to start a business. And we started a coaching business, basically. And so long story short, we started coaching business. The more disciples I tried to make, the more church resisted me because it wasn't the orthodox way. It wasn't the traditional way. It wasn't in the system. And so I kept on rubbing against the church. And so they wanted me to stay in the box. And I said, well, I'm making some income through this way. I'm changing more lives than, just preaching on Sundays. And I just made the transition. Yeah. Hang up my hat, made transition.
How long ago was that?
Oh, man. For a while, so my son was 5, 7, so he's 21 now. So we went to Bangkok for 2 years. We were doing a church plant out there. Ended up planting 2 churches out there, a house church and a home church. And then we came back 2 years after that, planted another church. So he was like 9, junior high by then, 8 years ago. And later I started coaching pastors, leadership, for about 3 years. And they asked me to pastor their church because they were without a pastor. I pastored it for less than a year and shut it down because they had a pastor before that for 5 years. They didn't have a pastor, and it was crazy. Put it this way, the oldest guy, because it's Asian American church, had the most influence, was saying you can't be a leader until you saw gold dust fall out of the sky or on your teeth. It's just a no hierarchy thing. It was stupid. I was like, we got to shut this down. Wow. You guys are all... And I was trying to do leadership development. They wouldn't do it. They wouldn't take responsibility of their leadership. They want to be told what to do. And so, because in 5 years, there's no pastor. Everybody's doing their own shit. So long story short, that was the last one. And it hurt a lot because we left the church for a while as doing church missions, planting church in Thailand, came back, planting church, gave away, did business coaching to Christians, business owners. And then I wanted to go back being pastor. I just love being pastor, making disciples, preaching. And then when that fell through, we just did coaching full-time, business coaching full-time for maybe last 7 years. And it was hard because my heart was always pastoring and shepherding. And I'll tell you how crazy our pastoring and shepherding was. My house in California has a door code in front. So on Sundays, we're cleaning up the church, whatever. I come home. People are in my house cooking, guys in the back with the fire pit, kids swimming in the pool. And that's how our community was. 4th of July, we'd have all these friends over. We had like 4 barbecue grills, 75, 80 people there. It'd be crazy. And a lot of it's non-Christian friends. We did a mission trip to Vietnam. We had 2 poker tables set in my garage, smoking cigars, playing poker, maybe 3 at that time. The girls were dressed up in long Vietnamese dresses, serving alcohol and drinks. Our non-Christian friend, what the fuck? You guys are doing what? They didn't even know what mission trips were. They gave us more money than the Christian that showed up. Then my friend's dad was the ambassador in Taiwan to U.S. And he goes, you guys aren't glorifying God. There's alcohol here. And you guys are smoking cigars in the garage and stuff like that. And I just told him, I'm sorry your dad had to see this. We didn't expect his dad to show up. We didn't even know where he was coming from. His dad just showed up out of nowhere. But that's how unorthodox I was. Mm-hmm. But the non-Christians were more excited what we were doing, gave us more money than the Christians for that mission trip. On that mission trip, my 3 boys went with me. We have pictures. We baptized like 28 Vietnamese factory workers during that time. It was just an insane time. But I was just non-orthodox, you know what I mean? And so I didn't know how to play in the box. I didn't know there was a box to play in. Mm-hmm. I just got too excited and had great ideas. And I saw everything like a business, how to scale it, how to make it grow, how to make it profitable. And they didn't like it. And it broke my heart, really did. Me and my wife been really hurt because my wife changed the whole children's ministry over. I mean, it was running like beautiful. The kids were learning a lot. We gave homework assignments to the parents because we said, hey, we're only we're a supplement. We are not primary spiritual leaders for your kids. You are, but we'll give you the tools. They didn't want to do the work. They wanted us to do all the fucking work. We're like, oh man, that wasn't working. My wife turned the whole thing around where they saw the value of doing the work, leading their kids. Then we did practical, just because it wasn't under Christian labels or Christian training, we did kids training or marriage things. And they said, what Christian material did this come from? God. It didn't come from, I don't know what material at that time, but it didn't come from Focus on Family. So why are we using that material? It's a secular source or something. Because it's proven scientifically, like Gottman is one of my favorite marriage material used. It's proven Gottman material, right? It's like, it's not explicit Christian, but God still used jackasses to speak. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And I get in trouble for stuff like that. And I was like, man, this is the craziest. I just didn't fit in the box, And so I didn't fit in the box.
Now you've told me that Norm Miller, right?
Interstate Batteries, yep.
Interstate Batteries was involved, mentored you.
Yeah, he was chairman of my board in Dallas.
Yeah.
With World Impact. I was a city director of Dallas World Impact, and Norm Miller was my board member. And he taught me a lot.
While you were in California? Or?
No. I moved to Dallas for a year because we just had our second kid because they're a year apart. We go, man, it'd be great to have parents to help us out. Donna's parents, my mom. But we lived on the corner of Malcolm X and Martin Luther King by Fair Park. They didn't want to come down there. Russ was like, hell no. No, seriously. That's a bad area, bad area. And because that's what we did. We lived where we ministered and to prostitutes. And even with the mission organization, I got in a lot of trouble because I had this prostitute live with us because she was pregnant. Yeah. And then I couldn't let her live herself. So I brought the pimp come live with us too.
Wow.
And yeah. Well, I was like, hey, man, they want to know the love of Jesus. We had love on them. They'd hold awesome. Josh, my second son. They call him Baby Buddha. We just talked about that. His nickname was Baby Buddha. And but let me tell you a story about those two because she was late. They were living in a cardboard box behind some guy's house. And when I walk up and down the alleys, I'd see them, always inviting them over for dinner. Finally got them to move in and live with us because she was pregnant, take them to the hospital and doctors and all that. Try and give him another job and get him drug rehab. And he'd get up like 5 o'clock, go to this place, they'd pick him up. Then they're going to go build prisons, come back and make $20 that day. Wow. And he was like, I can't do this, Sebastian. I was like, fucking humbling me. I totally remember that. Remember I told you I waited tables. I was like, what the fuck is this? And then we can make 200 that day easy. Yeah. And he's making $20 and all of a sudden he disappears. And so we're telling her not to chase him. You got the baby to think about. You can live here with us, blah, blah, blah. And long story short, he disappears. She goes after him. Everybody's crying because she's part of our family now. And we know she's going to lose a baby. We know they're going to go back on drugs and all that. But when they live on the streets, that's all they had. That their girlfriend, boyfriends, he was pimping her out for drugs. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So long story short, a year later, I get a knock on my door. I open it up and I look at them. They look familiar, this couple. Bobby? Cherie? And they go, you don't remember us? This Bobby Cherie. I go, who the, what? And I go nuts. Because they hit rock bottom, they stayed with us. They ended up some kind of rehab. Somebody found them, rehab, shipped them to St. Louis or something, to a rehab house. Yeah. They became the leader of the rehab house and all that. So they want to come back and tell us, thank you, because we were the one who got them started and all that. Nice. And they following Jesus now. It's a Christian rehab house. And we're all having this celebration. Great. They did lose the baby, but we just celebrate that they're clean. They're leading the sober living house and all this stuff. Man, it was just crazy. But during that time, I didn't do that for that. I didn't know. I just knew in the moment this is what love looked like. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And we had this one kid live with us for a while, Vietnamese, because we found him because he's in our neighborhood buying drugs for everybody. And he got kicked out of his family because he was all that. So long story short, that was a sad story because he ended up ODing. He left our house. He was living with us, getting clean, doing Bible study, doing all these things. Then he went back to see his family. His family just beat the shit out of him. He went on a binge and OD'd and died. That was a hard story. But all those times in those moments, we just did what we felt was love in that moment. And it just didn't fit their mold. It didn't fit the parameter. And a lot of times it didn't fit the legal guidelines of what we're able to do as missionaries. So a couple of those I realize now I pressed some lines I didn't realize. But that was a crazy season. Norm Miller helped us build the first community center in downtown Fair Park area, had an IBM lab. We got all the suburban churches. Now, it's not far from downtown there. Fair Park's right there, Russ. But all the big mega churches, I'm talking about all the big surrounding ones. I talk to the youth pastors. I get them. They bring their kids for a week mission trip down there. And when they get there, the bus pulls up. Fancy, beautiful buses are written, pulls up in my neighborhood, all drug dealers, everybody sitting on the stoops. All, it looks like crap down there. And the kids are all looking in one eye. And all the kids looking out the window, all scared. The white kids like, we fucked up. This is wrong. We're going to die, right? Kids scared as hell. A week, and they're sleeping at our community center in sleeping bags on there with their youth pastor there on site, a couple volunteers. By the time they leave a week later, all the kids are on their back. Everybody's hanging on to each other. It was the most beautiful thing I've ever seen because those white kids never saw downtown Dallas before. Not like that. And they went to all those kids' houses they did Bible study with because they'd walk them home and they'd get to go to their house. Eventually, by the end of 7 days, they'd have meals with them in their house. And at least the stories they told us afterwards, all these kids were telling us realized how blessed they were and how grateful of what they had. They never realized how much they had till they came and stayed with us for a week. Isn't that crazy?
Wow.
I mean, I got crazy stories. Wow. It was some good stuff. I mean, God did some crazy miracles that whole season. Yeah, but Norm was a big part. He taught me so much about how to restructure the board, how to set, and we have video of Norm. I don't know where it is anymore, but we had video of Norm and no one believed it. We'd have a Thanksgiving turkey thing. We're handing out food. Neighborhoods come together. They're having no hip hop music and kids are dancing. Norm brings his grandson. He's never done it. He was a board chairman before I got there with the previous group. He's never even been down there. He started having our board meetings down there in my house because I lived right in the center of all that. And he brought his grandson for a turkey handout. He's dancing as the kids are hip hop dancing, like kind of break off dancing. You see Norm Miller there dancing with them. I was like, back then, I think we had a camcorder. We didn't have video on our phones. And we had a picture of him doing it. And all the boards like, what the hell? They didn't even want to meet down there. Like Norm said, no, we're meeting downtown in Sebastian's house. And it was crazy. He showed me what it looks like to live out your faith. That man he was a legit Christian. He was, I mean, like in the sense of all his money, fame, his power, none of that. Really, I never seen that. I just seen this humble guy who served other people, had tons of wisdom. That guy was amazing. Yeah, I don't know where he is to this day.
So why Colorado? Out of anywhere that you could have moved, could have left California, fled California.
Well, we're doing good in California. We had our dream house. We had 2 yards, big pool, corner lot. We built an incredible community. I mean, not to sound stupid, just to give you context. The church I was a pastor at one time, 3,000 was our largest all Asian American, was the fastest growing Asian American church in America. I was we had rotation preachers, and I preached the most, besides the senior pastor and me. I sold the most CDs back then than anybody. Every Sunday, you could buy the CDs afterwards. Always had the highest selling CDs. Because I was just non-traditional. When I delivered, man, everybody's either crying or yelling, screaming. I mean, I got crazy on stage. And so we knew a lot of people. We had a huge community there. You ask my kids, anywhere we go to a restaurant, people would come up and say hi to us, or people would pay for our meals. I mean, to this day, they're 20, 19, 21. I still remember, we can't go in without someone interrupting us, right? So we had good community. We never wanted to leave California. I started doing overland camping a couple years ago. And I didn't know this thing called camping and pooping in the woods, and you bring your own junk. I was like, wow, this feels like real camping. It's not like a hotel. You know what I mean? It's called overland camping. And I just started loving it. I started connecting God. I started having more peace. I was less stressed. I've already had a heart attack and a stroke a year apart from each other.
What?
It was all stress induced.
What?
I had a heart attack. Started a new church, started a new coaching business, moved into our new house. That's like 15 years ago. And so much stress, but you're not supposed to show weakness, right? You're not supposed to show like, I'm happy, I'm a Christian, everything's great. So I didn't talk about it. And all of a sudden I just held it in and had a heart attack. I was at the regular checkup telling I have chest pain, put my EKG, called 911, sent me to hospital right away. They had a bed waiting for me right there. Seriously, 8, 10 people in there stabbing me with stuff. One girl, there was such a hurry, she missed my vein, and my arm went like this big, literally. Yeah. The water just went like that. Yeah. Like, oh shit, switch arms. They had to do that. They literally called Donna and sent an ambulance to our house because they thought I was dead. They sent an ambulance to go pick her up.
How old were you? What year was this?
I'm 51 now, 40, early 40s, 43 maybe.
Heart attack, early 40s.
I was in the room. I see like 6 giant monitors. They have me half sedated. They want to keep me awake. They're putting a balloon through my leg to open it up. And they're like, okay, think of somewhere peaceful and all that. I go, heaven with God. No! He's like, don't think that. I still remember that. And they're like, no, think of something like the beach or something. I kind of don't like the beach. I'm having this conversation, guy half sedated, right? But they need to keep me awake. And all of a sudden I heard the doctor goes, and you could hear intensity in their voice. And they give me this, do that, and they put that thing up my leg, and that got the probe, and you can see the probe on the screen. He's looking for it. And all of a sudden the room gets eerie quiet. And the doctor goes, it's gone. They couldn't find where they're going to put the balloon. You know what I mean? He said it was gone. And like, I go, oh, thank God. And he goes, what? I go, oh, I've been praying. Well, whatever. They're like, whatever. It was crazy as hell. Donna got there when I was in the room on the table with the balloon in my leg, and she got to see that part. Yeah. And that's when, because we were like 10 minutes. She goes, I'm not waiting for the ambulance. She drove herself. and they got me in there. So I did all these exercisings. I went to see specialists for a year. Everything was good. I started doing marathons because I was like, okay, God's giving me a chance. I need to keep healthy and all that.
Was the stroke the same time or a stroke different?
A stroke a year later.
Wow.
I just got to having lunch.
Yeah.
Got on the phone with my mentor. He's from Dallas. He's a doctor. And we're talking. I was like, oh, shit. He goes, what? I feel inside my head. It's like blood vein or something popping. My whole side, my right side of my face is like hot. He goes, what? Touch it. Can you feel anything? No, it's kind of numb. He goes, shit, you're having a stroke. He goes, go to the hospital. I drove to the hospital. I walked in.
You drove to the hospital?
Yeah.
What the hell?
Well, I'm talking to him on the phone when he told me, I think you're having a stroke. Go to the hospital. I just started driving straight to the hospital, to the ER. I got in. They said I had the baby stroke, and the big one's coming. And so they had me in there for like 2 days. Thanksgiving's that week. It's like half my church is going to be in my house. Dude, I call my other buddy who's a doctor. He's a geriatric doctor. And I go, hey, look, how long can they keep me? He won't sign me out. He won't tell me. He goes, they're waiting for the big one to come, dude. Don't worry, we're praying. I don't want to miss the Thanksgiving, our church member and stuff like that, right? He goes, okay, here's the legal thing you do. You could check yourself out, and he'll come in, stop because he won't get paid or whatever. So then he'll finally check you out. I go, okay, so I finally got the doctor because I'm threatened. I'm going to check myself out. So he talked to me. He goes, listen, we're just waiting for the big one to come. I go, do you know where it's at? You know what I mean? He's like, how do you know it's coming? You know, I got a lot of people praying. He goes, please stop saying that. I kept on telling him, I got my whole church praying. I got everybody praying. He goes, I mean, they're kind of getting pissed at me because I kept on saying, I got to go. I'm waiting there 3 days. I haven't had a big one yet. Let's go. You know what I mean? If you can have the small one, don't you think the big one would come right after? Right? I go, I'm not a doctor, but so I checked myself out. He drives up in there. He's all panicking, regular clothes, not doctor clothes, so he could sign me out so he could get paid. And I did exactly what my other doctor friend told me. I went home and just been following up after that. But it was crazy because half my face was like this. It was crazy. Isn't that crazy? It was
early 40s.
That time was mid 40s because by then it was early 40s. I think I was 43 when I had my heart attack.
Dude.
Isn't that crazy? It was crazy. I'm telling you, I had some crazy crap happen in my life. God is good. And it's just like a quote I just heard the other day. It's an author. I forgot his name. Oh, I got it right here. I would love for this to be on the podcast because this would be a great way to see how I live my life and how I'm finishing my life. You guys might have heard of him. Jack London, the author. Jack London. The proper function of a man is to live, not to exist. I shall not waste my days in trying to prolong them. I shall use my time. And that's to me living life and life to the fullest. And so I think that's why for me, there's always this urgency. I started reading like crazy. All my books are still upstairs unpacked, but my other garage, no exaggeration, 2-car garage, one whole wall of the 2-car garage, all bookcase. You get 3/4 all theological books, the other ones leadership books and stuff. I just made up for the 20-something years just reading ferociously every night. Didn't watch TV or anything, just read. And I just couldn't get over that. Transform, renewing your mind. Replacing my old junk with God's truth transformed everything for me. Only reason, and I'd love to share this one day, another time, I've been married 26 years. Only reason we're still married 26 years is because we're doing it God's way. I'm telling you, we almost divorced multiple times. And every time now in hindsight, it's always my insecurity, fear of abandonment and rejection that I was just walk out on her. And I made everything personal, But it wasn't for that. I tell you, if you want to say what's the biggest thing I ever did as a Christian, it's not all the church plants I've done. It's not all the personal counseling. It's not having the first recovery ministry in an Asian American church that I oversaw. It was not taking a mission team from 30 people one year. My next year I got to the church. Next year we did 300 people on mission trips. And how the fuck did you get 30 people? No, before you came, only 30 people on mission. Next year, 300 people went. It was crazy. None of that means anything. I tell you more and more, quote, quote, accolades as a Christian. But as a Christian, the greatest success I've had is being married 26 years. My 3 boys, all following God their way, and my daughter. And they just told us, the reason we have our relationship with God is because you never told us how, and you always let us express ourselves. Because we have friends, their kids are going sideways and stuff, like who wants to get off college and stuff. They go, not us. You've never censored us. You never told us we can't watch this TV, that. And you've always were there just for us. And when we were ready, you were ready for the conversation, but you never forced it. We just had this conversation a couple of days ago when they're here. And I was like, I looked at my wife. It's like, dude, that was the biggest paycheck we got in a long time. Yeah. He said, you never said, let's just be us. You know, and I was like, holy crap. So I think for me as a Christian, at the end of the day, it's just the fact that married 26 years, my 3 boys all follow Jesus, and my daughter, obviously, but she's 10. Even though my vision, Steve, at the end of the day, you guys will know this, and my community right now who in my business coaching program, Christian or non, they know this. When I die, I just want 100 people there. The 100 that said, I discipled them, mentored them, invested in whatever, so that they know that they choose their own faith. And then behind those 100, they each bring 10 people of their own or 100 people of their own. And they'll say, see that bastard right there? He's the one that set me free. He's the one that taught me I could live life full. He's the one. Because I was taught to make disciples. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. So that's before we get to the rapid fire segment, I wanted to talk about a way that you, as a listener, can support the show
Sabastian Huynh,
the growth of Holy Smokes by becoming a monthly supporter at patreon.com/Holy Smokes. Patreon is a support platform, and for as little as $5 a month, you can get bonuses like ad-free versions of these podcast episodes, Holy Smoke swag like t-shirts, and more. That's patreon.com/Holy Smokes. We're looking to get 40 Patreon supporters at an average of $10 a month. And once we hit that, we'll be able to pay for all the costs for hosting, editing, writing, posting. I won't be paying for that out of my pocket or through the volunteering of my own personal time. And as we grow that number to 100 and 150, 200 patrons, we'll be able to do 2 shows a week, hire a part-time assistant and web developer, record on location and around the world, and more. I want to visit groups and get those stories from so many of you listeners that I hear from. I want to go to Seattle, and I want to go to Dallas, and I want to go to Charleston, South Carolina, and I want to go to Kentucky and Chicago and Phoenix, Atlanta, DC, Charlotte, back to Southern California, and more. We want to help grow your groups and plant new ones for those of you in areas without active groups. So, can you help us out? Become a regular supporter at patreon.com/Holy Smokes. There's a link in the show notes. That's patreon.com/Holy Smokes. Or if you want to make a one-time tax-deductible gift, go to paypal.me/Holy Smokes Club. That's paypal.me/Holy Smokes Club. And both of those links are in the show notes. Thanks.
Rapid fire. Fire here.
So my first question, how's that stick treating you? I gave you a Safari cigar.
It's really good. I just been talking so much, I've been able to draw on it. You're
about halfway down, so.
It is a clean pull. I love the pull on this. It's just so easy.
It's a nice, well-constructed stick and super tasty. I love the flavor.
Yes. Great Maduro right here.
When did you first try cigars?
Hey, here's the funny part. After getting out of the Mafia and stuff, after I quit drinking and smoking, I was Mr. Clean on the extreme side. As Don, I'd even cuss. I stopped cussing, drinking, smoking. I'm a great Christian, great pastor, great leader. Then I took over a church in Dallas. I became part of church Dallas. As fast as going to Asian American church called New Song. And those guys were smoking. I was like, well, cigars. As a missionary, I learned that, not all things are permissible. Not all things are profitable. And if I'm going to connect with them and show them God where they're at, I'm just going to meet people where they're at. And I don't demonize anything and all that. And they're all smoking cigars. And there are some Christians, some baby Christians, but most of them were checking it out. Because in our Asian American culture, it's not really a thing, being Christian. And so they bring out cigars. All right, let's do it. I used to smoke cigarettes. I could smoke cigars and go, no, don't do that. So I learned the hard way. I learned the hard way and kicked my butt. But that's what I learned through the church, actually. There were a couple of new would call them seekers or new Christians who smoke cigars. Very wealthy businessmen. And they taught me. And after that, it was on. Game on.
Did you ever try pipe?
Mm-hmm. I got a couple up there. I still smoke pipe. Actually, I enjoy pipe for contemplative time. Contemplative, like if I'm doing a deep Bible study, I love my pipe. Maybe it's just nostalgia of it and all that. And I learned that when I was in Bible college, the pipe. But cigars I enjoy with people. It's a neutralizer for community, for conversations. And I love cigars that. Pipe usually what I do by myself.
Favorite cigar?
The one I gave you so far right now is called New World. I just found it. And what is it?
New World.
Yeah.
Yeah. I liked it.
It's very medium-ish, clean, easy pull. It's like this, for me, it's like this Safari having, but this is a Maduro. And the New World's just a little bit more cleaner and lighter, where Maduro has a little more flavor and heavier body, which I enjoy too. But both of them have such a great, easy pull, nice, even burn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that New World you gave me was very nice. Most expensive cigar you've ever smoked?
I didn't know at the time. I just thought it was freaking, is it called Opalatus or Opal? It's so fancy. I thought it was OP something. Openness? I don't know. But we're in New York and the guys there are hedge fund guys and they cut it up and said, all right, let's go. And guess what I drank with it? Pappy Van Winkle.
Ooh.
Woo! Mother, daughter. Had some Pappy of that. It was a good, I enjoy good company, good cigars. I'm just now learning through the Holy Smoke community to actually know their name and where they come from.
Best dollar for dollar cigar you buy?
Dollar for dollar that I could buy? I'm new at this, so I think the one I really enjoy is my Arturo Fuentes up there and my Olivia G's. I don't know if that's the best, but for me right now in this journey of mine, those are pretty good. I mean, I was paying $15-20 a stick thinking, that's average.
Yeah.
Then I figured you get good shit for $10 at the same price. And now I'm finding you can even get even cheaper, like $5 or $7 cigar at some of the auction stuff and stuff like that. You guys, so again, on my journey, I'm learning I go lower and get such good quality, right? So for right now, the best one I've found so far is the Olivia G's and my Arturo Fuentes. I don't know what series that one is, but they're about $10.
Where's your go-to place to get your smoke?
Now, because you guys taught me, it's called Cigar something. You order.
Cigar Bid?
No.
Cigars International?
Boogers. Come on. They're from Kansas, maybe? They're always sending me freaking things. It should be in my email right here. Something cigar. But you guys showed me it was good. They order and they're fairly priced. Maybe it is cigar. Is this Cigar Bid? Son of a biscuit. I get here, Cigar King.
Cigar King.
Yeah, Cigar King. Yep, Cigar King. These guys, cigarking.com. Yeah, there's so many places. Yeah, I haven't done bid yet.
At Cigar Bid, I can get those Comfortably Numb by Espinosa. I can get them for about $3, even under a stick.
What the Christmas?
It's a great stick for $3.
I remember you gave me one. It was like amazing.
What's your favorite liquid pairing with your smoke?
Anything Scotch. I am a Scotch guy. I love Scotch. You guys here smoke so much bourbon, it makes me sick. But there's an Oban right there. That's my go-to, is my standard.
Yeah.
But there's another one here that, oh my gosh, where is it? We drink it all already. But it is my other one go-to. It has a little peat to it. Anything with peat, Scotch, I love it. Oh, there it is right in front of me. What am I talking about? Right here. This one. Oh my stars. You got to try this one.
Scarables?
That's why I let you say it.
Scarables?
From Isles. But it has a little peat to it. It's not too peaty like Lafroy or anything.
Yeah.
But it has a balance between the Scotch and some
Scarabus.
Hint of peat.
Scarabus?
And it is a very decent price bottle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have to try a little before we leave.
Oh, you have to. Isles single malt Scotch whiskey.
You pulled out this Grange Stone you told me to try.
I love it.
So I just poured a little bit. I'll have a little bit.
Yeah, it's a Grangestone is so last 6 months I was in Dallas before I moved out here. I made an arrangement to become best friends with people at Total Wine because I don't know anywhere else to go get anything there. And so I got to know them very personally. And every time I go, I have to get different bottles. I didn't want the same stuff.
Yeah.
Because I literally tried, no exaggeration, probably 75 bottles they had.
Yeah.
And this one for price point, taste, and it's a Scotch in a bourbon cask. It's amazing. Highland single malt Scotch whiskey. It's a double maturation. It's in bourbon cask. It's crazy. And it's really good with cigars, especially if you bourbon people like that one because it has the Scotch and a little hint of the bourbon to it. Yeah. What do you think?
I like it. Most interesting person you've ever met through cigars?
Through cigars? Huh. That's an interesting question. So I don't know if he's the most interesting. I think the most interesting conversation I've had is he was a Forex trader and he was teaching me about Forex trading and how he does. I thought he was just on a different planet. I don't think I would ever have that conversation normally. And the first thing come to my mind, he's just, Forex trader. Now I've had a lot of great conversation with people, and my favorite are the vulnerable conversations. Like people who've had an affair on their spouse, people who've had a business bankruptcy, people who are just insecure about their sexuality. That's what I'm telling you. With cigars, I've had such great conversations that I think cigar allows it and puts out all religious pretense and everything. You know what I mean? It just allows us to be human. So I had tons of those, and I love those the most. But the interesting one is I didn't even know what the Forex, changing things on dollars and pennies and seconds. I was like, what the Christmas? That was crazy. But the ones I love the most are the most vulnerable conversations about our humanity, our insecurities. Those are my favorite.
Best place you've ever had a cigar?
Ooh, that's a good question. I think for the nostalgia part of it was in New York at this private, there's two places. New York is a private club and got to see some, very interesting people there, notoriety people, wealthy people, that movie stars that, hobnob there. And I just couldn't believe the environment and atmosphere. And I couldn't believe, who showed up and who was there. And I was like, how the hell did I get in here? And then it happened, same thing in LA. And I know how I got both places because I was just at that time as a pastor serving people and, just meeting them where they're at. And this guy took me to the LA one, same thing. And we saw some movie stars there and they'd come up to our table because my friend knew him and they'd introduce himself and stuff. And just other people you wouldn't even know because they're just so wealthy, but their money comes from different places. But it's just that culture. And plus, both those places, I probably had the best freaking food there. I mean, holy smokes, the steaks, shazam. Yeah.
Marvel or DC?
Probably Marvel. I'm not much into those, but my boys have been teaching me a lot about Marvel. And so I love the character. And the new, I can't even know,
Shang-Chi.
That one came out and
it was good.
It was
amazing.
It.
My boys thought it was very meaty and they thought it was good, but they didn't think it was on Marvel par. And I think that one might be one of my favorites because I really came out of that film with a very deep appreciation for Chinese culture.
And that's what my boys said too. For them being Asian American, that really helped them not be ashamed of our culture, but really see it was treated in a very beautiful light. Like,
it was really good.
Yep. So Marvel.
Star Wars or Star Trek?
That's a very tough one. I mean, you're really making me choose something really hard here, but I would have to go with Star Trek because I grew up with Captain Kirk as my John Wayne, as my Duke. He was the man of man, right? And I think also it was a churning of a generation where everything started becoming teams. Where the Duke was by himself, he was the man by himself. Where Star Trek, Kirk was only Kirk because of his team. He wasn't successful because of himself. So, Star Trek.
Dogs, cats, neither, or both?
So, I'm allergic to cats, so I never had a fond of them. I enjoy them because I think they're a little mischievous. But I love dogs because we've had a couple in our life growing up. And the one sitting at your foot right now is about 100 pounds. Half lab, half Rottweiler. And just so loyal. I mean, so amazing.
He's a sweet, mellow dog.
He's a sweet guy, Shadow. Yes, he is. So definitely dogs.
Nickname growing up?
So I'm going to tell you how I got my name Sebastian. That's not my name.
Yeah.
And my sons just learned this weekend over Thanksgiving. So my Vietnamese name is Sang, S-A-N-G. So you think S-A-N-G, people always pronounce that. But one of the times I got out of jail, I got out and I said, I'm going to do a new start. I love music. I'm going to be, and I'm a natural businessman. So I was going to Art Institute of Dallas for business, music business. Mm-hmm. And we're sitting around getting high one day between classes. And as we're getting high, they're like, no, we're tired of them butchering your name and all that. Let's give you an American name, right? Remember, we're smoking pot, guys. Okay? We're smoking pot, saying, let's give you an American name. The first name they gave me was Jericho. You have to understand, though, I had long black hair in a ponytail because Steven Seagal was my influence. So just imagine me, long ponytail like that, and they called me Jericho.
Yeah.
And we're smoking pot. We're like, all right, well, what's another name we could probably give him? Or Sebastian. And I ended up with Sebastian.
What's one unusual fact that few people know about you?
One unusual fact?
Yeah.
Oh, what's a fact about? I'm pretty open book, so that takes me a minute. Most people know I'm ex-con. Most people... Oh, here's what people don't know. Recently, my daughter will tell you this. Recently, like in the last several years. So I never cried until I became a Christian. Literally. Mm-hmm. I didn't cry because men aren't supposed to cry. That shows weakness. Weakness, she died, blah, blah, blah. I cry now every time I watch American Got Talent or British Got Talent with my daughter. I didn't understand why I first started doing it. I travel. I go speak somewhere. I travel, come back. I'm at the airport. I just put on my phone just to debrief from my brain.
Yeah.
I'm crying at the airport. I'm like, why am I always crying every time I watch America Got Talent? Always. I'm crying like crazy. It's crazy. So now I cry a drop of a dime. Hallmark commercials, I used to cry. I cry all the time.
Favorite 1 to 3 books not titled the Holy Bible?
1 to 3 books? So the book on my list... I give most people in my training is there's one called 4 Agreements. It's called 4 Agreements. Very simple, very great principles there. I think they're very biblical. They're just not in a biblical context. Another great book I give to all the guys on our training, sorry ladies, but it's a 365-day devotional by Richard Rohr on transformation of men. It's just on men. Mm-hmm. And I know, watch, none of these books are like fictional. All these are like stay books. And I don't know which of the third one. I don't know which of the third one I'd be. There's so many, but those two, the first two, just popped in my mind. That are big for me.
If you could be any animal, what would you be?
Any animal. Well, I don't know. Dogs have a pretty good life, man. But on my spiritual journey, getting my animal name through a retreat, men's retreat one time, hosted by Richard Rohr and them, my spirit animal came to me was a turkey. I was so pissed. I was meditating all day waiting for an eagle to fly by, freaking bear come get me, something. And we're out in this wilderness in California, and you're supposed to be sitting there all day waiting, and a turkey comes up on me. I was like, son of a bitch. I was so angry. I was so mad. I wanted something more sexy than a turkey, but I'm accepting that I'm a turkey.
Wild turkeys are pretty smart.
I learned not only are they smart, they're freaking tough as hell.
Yeah.
I was like, wow.
Ben Franklin wanted the national bird animal to be a turkey.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, Ben Franklin did.
So turkey.
Are you an early riser, night owl, average?
Well, I'm an early riser now because my work. I have coaching calls at 5:30 a.m., which is 6:30 Central Time. And I enjoy waking up early because there's so much to do now. Where before, I'd sleep in all day. I almost hate days, But now there's so much to do. I love it. I'm an early riser.
If you could live anywhere, where would you live?
Here, Denver, Colorado. I moved here because I wanted to connect God in the wilderness, and I see Him more, and I hear Him more, and I'm more calm. I'm not stressed. So that's why I moved to Colorado. I mean, I'm living exactly where I want to live.
You like hiking?
I love hiking.
Have you ever done a 14er?
No, but because of you, I have a list of all the 14ers here, and I'm going to start off one at a time. The small ones.
I'll take you out next summer.
Oh, definitely.
I'll take you out next summer. It's
looking forward to it.
It's awesome. What's your greatest strength and what's your greatest weakness?
I think my greatest strength is after I became Christian, I realized there's more things to consider. So I teach this thing called living in the 95 or 95%, and that's just consider another possibility. Consider another possibility. You don't know everything. What we do know is so limited. So that's my greatest gift. Like, I don't put anything in a box. God's bigger than anything I can imagine Him to be. People are bigger than anything I imagine. So that's my greatest strength. My greatest weakness is I want to live in the 95 all the time. Meaning I always want to live another possibility. Sometimes you got to be where you're at and just be there fully present. And that's hard for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who's been the greatest influence in your life?
Well, first person would be my mom. She taught me what hard work looks like. When she died, she could barely speak English. She was in America for maybe 20 years. She can't read or write English. And she left us with 4 houses as a single mom working 3 jobs in Dallas, Texas.
Wow.
Paid off.
Wow.
I mean, like, what the Christmas? How did she do that? We don't understand to this day. But she left a legacy for her children because that's what she brought America for. So she's the biggest influence. Yeah.
Who's the first person you think of when you hear the word successful?
My wife. I know, it's crazy. I've been meditating on this the other day, and if I could describe my wife, she's successful because she doesn't need anything. She's so grateful for everything she has. She's in the moment. She's present, and she doesn't chase anything. So for me, success is being not only grateful for what you have, but being in that moment, present, and being able to capture it all, because we're always chasing something out there, but it's already in front of us right here. So I would say definitely my wife.
What do you do for self-care, to rest, to recharge?
So I'm a bubble bath guy. I would never tell people that before. That's one of those facts. I love hot bubble bath. I put Epsom salt, bath bomb, my laptop, and I can lay there. Sometimes I don't even watch my iPad, the movie, whatever. I have it all set up, and I just meditate. But just that, give myself permission, which is really hard for me. Give myself permission just to be there for an hour, not having to do anything. And knowing that God's in control, I don't have to do everything. That to me is, that's heavenly.
What's the best type of cheese?
Easy question. We are a cheese family. We love it. We love wine and cheese, charcuterie board. I just saw a funny TikTok. This Filipino woman goes, she's showing a picture of her daughter. She goes, I want this Christmas, the chittery, the chit. I want the chit. And her daughter makes this face. What are you talking about? She couldn't say charcuterie board, right? So anyways, sharp cheese, extra sharp. We just got some from Costco. I don't know where the hell they got it from. Best cheese I ever had in my life. Amazing.
All right, final 2 questions. What does Holy Smokes mean to you, and how has it contributed to your spiritual journey?
Holy Smokes, what does it mean to me? I would put it as a gathering of unconventional love, a gathering of unconventional people and love. What it's done for me is gave me, first of all, broke from my pain and hurt from the church of stereotypical Christian, what I box all Christians in. So it broke that and said God is bigger than that. Christianity spectrum is bigger than that. So that was beautiful. I mean, changed my life. Literally, I don't think Don and I can have the joy we're having here in Colorado without having the community we have. That's what it means to me. What it has done for me is give me a spectrum of perspectives. We call it different stripes on the beach ball that made my life more rich. We have older people in our group, younger people, everybody in between, married, divorced, banked up. I mean, I think to me it's the body of Christ, just a diverse spectrum, and they help me see different perspectives, keeps me humble, keeps me growing, hungry. I mean, I can't say enough about the group. Serious. It's really changed my life. You ask Donna. My wife would say, wow, you've become a nicer person.
If you were to have a holy smoke with any 3 people throughout history, living or deceased, who would they be? Can't name Jesus.
So this is one reason I call this, my whole life is about developing leaders, because that was what was missing for me growing up. And I call this room my leadership lab, because the lab itself is an experiment. It's not finished. It's undone. But it's a lab about leadership. And so the 3 people, or the people I'm going to hang up on this wall, can be black and white. First would be Dietrich Bonhoeffer.
Ooh.
Yeah. You know, he had the world at his hand. He grew up with privilege, but he saw past this world. He saw a greater eternal world. And he was willing to give his life up for it. He stood up for people at that time who didn't have a voice. Obviously, when he came to America with the blacks and what was happening with the water fountains,
Harlem.
right? Yeah. And so for me, for growing up as a minority, seeing someone with so much privilege and not owning his privilege, but seeing there's a greater life to live, he just ministered to me. He was just freaking a badass. So definitely him. The second one would be Martin Luther King. He was not even close to being perfect. He just studied and read him as a pastor, stuttered, wasn't that great. But he took up the mantle when he was literally pushed into it by the other leaders. He stepped up and owned his gift that God gave him and made a movement that changed history. So definitely them two. And then, I don't know. The other one, it sounds too intense, serious, but the other two, so the one I would love to have a meal with, I don't know if he's dead. Maybe because I don't keep up pop culture anymore and all that. But I'd really love to sit with a comedian because they have so much pain, but they see the world a different perspective. And there's a couple of comedians out there, like he's still alive, Bill Burr, but that guy's always angry. He reminds me of me. He's just constantly angry, but he sees things in a different perspective. I love Jim Gaffigan. He's alive. He's ridiculous. I mean, he just, first concert I ever seen with him, I was almost peeing my pants. I couldn't get up to go to the restroom. I didn't want to miss anything. So I was literally going to pee right there. I don't care. I was going to pee right there. But someone else that's dead, I know this sounds, I didn't want to get too serious because it sounds all the other two, but the other person would be like, because of my mom, Harriet Tubman. Just because I feel like my mom is like Harriet Tubman, that gave her life to free other people and give them something greater than they had. And that's how I feel about my mom. And I just want to know, like, women to me are just so fascinating. They have so much more difficulty than men. They get no credit. They're so much more powerful. Richard Rohr said one time when I heard him say it straight from his mouth, I almost shit in my pants. He goes, they're the most powerful human being. They bleed every month and they don't cry. Where men bleed once and we cry. But if you think about a woman's journey, yeah, Harriet Tubman, yeah.
You seen that movie about her?
No, there's a movie?
Yeah, it's really good.
What's it called?
Tubman.
Get that, Chris. I told you I've been watching
it's just
pop culture for a while.
2-3 years old. It's really good. It's a really good film.
I need to watch it. Thank you for that.
Last question.
Okay.
If we're to meet 1 year from today, and I got a bottle of really good scotch, what are we celebrating?
So starting the month of November through December, I go into a very contemplative, meditative stage of reviewing what I did last year, what worked, what didn't work, what was my vision, what was the barriers, what got in the way, then what do I want next year. So you're asking me a question that I'm really deep sitting in, and the foundation is making disciples. I'm going to measure myself. I don't get the number yet. I'm praying about 500,000, 10,000, I don't know. But I'm going to have an automated coaching system, a leadership system that people who can't afford coaches can still afford $10 a month, $20 a month, whatever, where they get all the greatest teachings I've ever taught anybody who's paying me $10,000 a month. And the reason being is because that's what was missing for me growing up. I'm gamifying it. So Steve, you can afford to pay me $5,000 a month, but that kid down the street who has a single mom who's working 3 jobs like I grew up with can't. But he gets on this leadership program. He gets the exact same teaching, but he pays $10 a month because he has to have something at stake for his growth. But you gamifying it, he has to do the work daily, gets so many points per day and all that. But if he gets, say, 500 points, he come to this conference for free. He doesn't have to pay for it. He gets 200 points to get a one-on-one coaching session. But you paying $5,000 a month, you get 5,000 points a month. And you realize, you know what? I'm watching this guy. I'm watching his profile. I'm going to give him 1,000 points so he can have a one-on-one coaching session. Sebastian, he go to this training, this, that. And you can make a disciple without having to invest in him because the program's set for him already. So you and I be celebrating this, that we got a whole bunch of guys who's never taught to make disciple, but they're in a great stage in their life financially. They have a heart to invest in the next generation, but they don't know how. And they don't have the time. They're running a business. They have their own family. To sit here and mentor somebody one-on-one or something. But you know what they can do? Say, hey, I see where you're going based on your profile. I see the classes you need to take based on what I've already taken and what's available. Here are some points I'll give you. Invest in your leadership for you to do it. And those kids grow up and get to do it. It's not about free and handout because they can still earn their own points every day, making comments, posting videos to get points for all that. So they can do the work and get their own points, work way up there. You're accelerating their leadership. So a year from now, we'd open a bottle of nice scotch, one of our best cigars you and I enjoy. It doesn't mean high dollar value. It means high enjoyment value cigar. And we'd be celebrating that. And I'm still praying for the number of 500, 700 students went through. 500, 1,000 business owners went through, because it's a both and. I have to have the business owners go through to scholarship or to accelerate the leadership process for the students. I would call them students, those who couldn't afford what business owners could. So I'm working on that software right now with some programmers and designers, and my target is by end of first quarter next year it'll be done. And of course be failing forward the whole way, and we'll be reprogramming, redesigning it. But my life is about making disciples and giving it away. Yep, that's what we'll be celebrating.
Sabastian Huynh, I love you, my man. Thanks for being on the Holy Smokes podcast.
Thank you, Steve. I love you too, brother. I'm so glad you're here and you're healthy. Ha! Yes! That's what I'm really excited about. You're feeling good and you're healthy.